Leng Xiaoting got sexually excited whenever he kissed Guning, and they hadn't had sex for a long time, so they didn't go to sleep until it was very late. Guning fell asleep in Leng Xiaoting's arms, so she felt his body trembling a little. It seemed that something was moving and circulating in his body. Guning was a light sleeper, so she opened her eyes at once. Leng Xiaoting was still asleep, but he didn't seem comfortable. There was a layer of sweat on his forehead, so Guning used her jade eyes to check his body. She saw a flow of air violently moving about in his stomach, which made him feel uncomfortable, but he didn't wake up because of it. However, Leng Xiaoting just told her that he felt much better now. Guning thought for a while, then realized that Leng Xiaoting was naked now and the night luminescent pearl was away from his body. Therefore, Guning immediately poured her magical power into his body to protect him. Within seconds, the flow of air became quiet and absorbed Guning's magical power of its own accord. Guning was surprised, because it was precisely the process of a cultivator's cultivation. She rounded her eyes in shock. At this moment, she was very sure that the change of Leng Xiaoting's body must have something to do with cultivators. However, she still didn't understand how Leng Xiaoting became a cultivator. Was it because of her magical power? Was it possible that Leng Xiaoting already had the ability to become a cultivator? If that was true, one of Leng Xiaoting's parents must be a cultivator. However, if Leng Xiaoting's biological father was a member of the Leng family, the cultivator couldn't be his father, because the other members of the Leng family were mortals. So if the cultivator wasn't Leng Xiaoting's father, it had to be his mother. Another possibility was that either Leng Xiaoting's father or he didn't have a blood connection with the Leng family, but either way, she needed to ask Leng Xiaoting for more information. Although it might hurt Leng Xiaoting's feelings, she had to talk to him about it. Xiaoting, wake up. Guning couldn't wait for tomorrow, so she immediately woke him up. Leng Xiaoting had gone back to normal with the help of Guning's magical power, so he was able to wake up now. Ning, what happened? He got nervous when he saw that Guning was still up at midnight. Guning stared straight into Leng Xiaoting's eyes and said in a very serious tone, Xiaoting, there is something really important I need to ask you now. It might hurt your feelings, but I have no other choice. Please don't be mad at me. Leng Xiaoting said, there is nothing we can't talk about, and I won't get mad at you. He didn't think that it would be a big deal. Even if Guning wanted to talk about his parents, he was fine with it. It had been years, and he already got over it. I just noticed that the magical power is circulating in your body, which means that you're becoming a cultivator, Guning said. What? Leng Xiaoting was shocked. He knew that his body had changed, but he had no idea that he was becoming a cultivator. Guning continued, I don't think that it's my magical power that can help you do that. So it's possible that you inherited the ability to cultivate from your parents, which is quite complicated. We have to discuss it further in order to find out the truth. So I need to ask more information about your parents. Go on, I'm fine with it, Leng Xiaoting said. If you really have the ability to cultivate, one of your parents must be a cultivator. However, the other members of the Leng family are all mortals, so I don't think your father is a cultivator. In that case, your mother could be a cultivator. Otherwise, either your father or you don't have a blood connection with the Leng family, Guning said. Hearing that, Leng Xiaoting frowned. I'm very sure that my father is my grandfather's biological son, and I'm my father's biological son, Leng Xiaoting said with certainty. My mother, however, isn't my maternal grandfather's biological daughter. It's said that my mother and father saved my maternal grandfather's life once, so my maternal grandfather adopted my mother. My father and my mother were unmarried back then, and my mother married my father as my maternal grandfather's daughter afterwards. My maternal grandfather left all his legacy to my mother after he passed away, but my mother had no interest in running the business. She served in the army just like my father, so the business gradually became the Shengshi organization, Leng Xiaoting said. He started to believe that his mother might not be immortal. Did you notice that your mother was different from other people? Guning asked. Leng Xiaoting had a good memory, and he still remembered what had happened when he was 7. Well, my father and mother always compared their fighting skills in the yard. My mother almost won every time, and I heard that my mother had saved my father many times before. I didn't think it was strange until now, Leng Xiaoting said. Leng Xiaoting had that thought not because he disdained women, but because women were normally weaker than men. Guning nodded, but unfortunately Leng Xiaoting's mother had passed away for years till now. They could only learn something about cultivators from the cultivation world. As long as Leng Xiaoting's mother was a member of the cultivation world, they believed that they could find some useful information about her. Even if it was hard, they wouldn't give up. I think we need to pay attention to it, Guning said. Sure, we need to do some research, Leng Xiaoting agreed. He had a feeling that there was a lot of trouble ahead once he became a cultivator. Anyway, Guning already had a plan to learn more about cultivators, and he could help her now. Both Guning and Leng Xiaoting couldn't fall asleep, so the next morning, they got up at 5 a.m. Guning drove Leng Xiaoting to an isolated place out of town. Since you're a cultivator now, you're destined to join the cultivation world. You must focus on your cultivation to become a good cultivator, Guning said. Because Bailey Zongyang and Bailey Zongxue were in Century City, it wasn't convenient for Leng Xiaoting to practice his cultivation there. They couldn't let other cultivators find him before he could control his cultivation. After all, it could be dangerous if other cultivators found him. In addition, Guning found that Leng Xiaoting's air of a cultivator could be covered by the magical power of a night luminescent pearl. The magical power of a night luminescent pearl was different from the air of a cultivator, so other cultivators wouldn't feel that Leng Xiaoting was a cultivator even if Leng Xiaoting encountered them in the future. In other words, Leng Xiaoting had to carry a night luminescent pearl with him all the time. However, all cultivators wanted a night luminescent pearl, so it wasn't safe for Leng Xiaoting to carry one with him everywhere. But he was left no choice. I understand, and I will become a good cultivator, Leng Xiaoting said. He was determined to be stronger so that he could help Guning more in the future. Guning said, according to the books I've read about cultivators, there are 4 levels of cultivation, namely turning the power into qi, turning qi into energy from concrete to abstract, and then free spirit. Although you can absorb the magical power of this night luminescent pearl on your own, and it can circulate in your body by itself, you're not able to control it yet. You must learn to control it and make use of it. Leng Xiaoting nodded and listened to Guning. Guning was much better than him in this aspect, so he was willing to listen to her. They loved each other and hoped that they could become better together. Great, just listen to my instructions now to see whether it works, Guning said. Relax and sit cross-legged. Leng Xiaoting listened to her and sat cross-legged. Since he needed to practice his cultivation, he couldn't use the night luminescent pearl. Focus on your stomach when you take a long breath in and breathe in the air into your body till the top of your head. Then let it move to your stomach, Guning said. Leng Xiaoting did everything she told him. However, it wasn't easy to succeed in the beginning, so he needed to try many times. Luckily, Leng Xiaoting had patience and knew that failure was the mother of success. Normally, it took a person half a month to learn to absorb the magical power. Therefore, Guning and Leng Xiaoting didn't feel disappointed after they failed several times. Guning didn't know what the right way to turn the power into qi was, so they just kept trying. Leng Xiaoting stayed calm and practiced again and again. He was very smart and started to feel changes after a long while. The essence of the universe was gradually absorbed by Leng Xiaoting and into his stomach. Guning's face lit up with excitement when she saw that Leng Xiaoting finally found the right way. While Leng Xiaoting had successfully absorbed the magical power into his stomach, he still needed to learn how to turn it into qi. He had to store enough magical power in his stomach, then let it circulate endlessly. During this process, the magical power would be transformed into qi. Leng Xiaoting failed several times before he could control the movement of the magical power in his body. He had to focus on it for a long time and couldn't be disturbed, because if he couldn't control the movement of the magical power, it wouldn't circulate in his body. He encountered many difficulties when he tried to control the magical power to move the way he wanted it to move, but he tried again and again until he succeeded. Because Guning was worried about him, she used her jade eyes to check his body. So when the magical power started to circulate in his body, she felt very happy for him. Once the magical power began to circulate in Leng Xiaoting's body, He felt comfortable and energetic. He repeated the process again and again, then felt something strange flowing in his body. As time went by, qi came into being in his body. Gu Ning was surprised by Lung Shouting's efficiency, because he was able to do it within such a short time. At this moment, Lung Shouting felt that he was full of strength and was much stronger than before. Although he was able to turn the magical power into qi now, the sun appeared in the sky and the magical power became thinner in the air, so he had to stop for the day. In fact, with the help of the night luminescent pearl, he could do it any time as he wanted. He just needed to practice it slowly to get a better result. "How do you feel now?" Gu Ning asked him once he stopped. Because she couldn't interrupt him when he was in the middle of cultivation, she had stayed quiet for a long time. "Well, I feel like I'm full of strength now, and my sight also got better," Lung Shouting said. He looked ahead to a distant place and felt like it was really amazing. Nobody knew the changes in his body better than himself. "Wow, congratulations! You found the right way, and now you can absorb the magical power on your own to turn it into qi in your body," Gu Ning said. Although Gu Ning had endless magical power, she couldn't produce it. She could only make use of it with the help of her jade eyes. "I understand." Lung Shouting nodded. He felt excited that he could successfully turn the magical power into qi now. The thickest essence of the universe is at dawn before the sun comes out. Although you can use the night luminescent pearl for your cultivation, the natural magical power is better for you, Gu Ning said. "I understand," Lung Shouting said. After that, they went back home. They had breakfast before they went on the road. Because they were on a ring road, their car moved slowly at some parts of it. When they were waiting for the traffic light to turn green, Gu Ning suddenly heard a conversation from the next car. "Mr. Zhao, if you don't trust me, why did you turn to me for help?" a man said coldly. Mr. Zhao explained at once. "Master Zhou, I'm sorry. I never doubt your ability, but it's so strange and I know nothing about feng shui." "Feng shui?" Gu Ning got curious and used her jade eyes to see the people in the next car. It was a black Maserati next to her car. There were two men sitting on the rear seats. One of them was a middle-aged man in a formal suit. However, his face was very pale and he was surrounded by yin, which meant something terrible would happen to him. This man was Mr. Zhao Yeqing. The other man was an old man in his 60s who looked displeased and had a frown on his face. He must be a feng shui master according to their conversation. Gu Ning wasn't surprised at all when she saw a feng shui master in real life. In fact, she was curious to know the ability of this feng shui master. "Fine. I know it's hard for mortals to understand feng shui, but you should trust Xia Haijun if you don't believe my words. You know what I've done for him," Zhou Shengquan said. "Right, you're right. I'm sorry," Zhao Yeqing said. Their conversation aroused Gu Ning's curiosity, so she told Lung Shouting to follow their car. Lung Shouting also heard their conversation. However, although he was a little surprised, he didn't think it was very strange. He had already encountered a lot of strange things by now, so he was mostly immune to them. Nevertheless, since Gu Ning was interested in their conversation, he wouldn't mind following them. Because there was a feng shui master in the car, Gu Ning told Lung Shouting to stay a distance behind them, in case they were exposed. Gu Ning had a pair of jade eyes after all. Therefore, they didn't notice Gu Ning and Lung Shouting at all along the way. About a dozen minutes later, they arrived at a beautiful house. This wasn't a living area with beautiful houses along the roads, but the houses were all built by their owners. Only very rich people could afford a piece of land and a house here. This was the capital city after all, and every inch of land was worth a lot. Zhao Yeqing's car drove inside, but Gu Ning and Lung Shouting stopped outside. Afterwards, Gu Ning could see with a simple glance that yin surrounded the house. This house indeed had a serious problem. Gu Ning used her jade eyes and focused on Zhou Shengquan to see whether he could solve this problem. Zhou Shengquan felt the yin when he was only 5 meters away from the house. It was a hot summer, but it was very cold around the house, which was quite abnormal. However, he needed to have a look to find out what was causing it. Gu Ning, on the other hand, easily figured it out with the help of her jade eyes. There were several willow trees and locust trees at the back of Zhao Yeqing's house, and they were a sign of bad luck. There was an old saying that some trees could easily attract ghosts. The willow trees had the effect of attracting ghosts. Locust trees were also known as ghost locust with big swellings on their body, which were good places for ghosts. Banyan trees were very big, and they could easily become the place of residence for ghosts. And hardy banana trees were mostly liked by lonely wild ghosts, especially female ghosts. Under the willow trees, Gu Ning saw 5 white shadows floating around. They were precisely these ghosts. Ghosts could only stay under the trees during the day and would wander around at night. If the ghosts stayed for a long time, the house would be affected. For now, Zhao Yeqing's house was empty, and his family had already moved away. Actually, members of the Zhao family got sick one after another after they had moved into this house for a month. Zhao Yeqing then called his good friend, Xia Haijun, for help. Xia Haijun's family had suffered the same problem before, and he found a good feng shui master to help him solve it. At the beginning, Zhao Yeqing didn't take it seriously, because it sounded very strange. However, he was left no choice now that each member of his family got sick. So he contacted Zhou Shengquan through Xia Haijun. The other members of his family were in the hospital now. Zhou Shengquan walked around in the house to see whether he could find any clue, but he suddenly turned around and looked in a certain direction behind him. Gu Ning was struck dumb for a moment, and moved her eyes away at once, because the direction Zhou Shengquan was looking in was exactly where she stood. Although there was a house between them and Zhou Shengquan couldn't see her, he could feel her gaze. Zhou Shengquan didn't know who was staring at him, because only Zhao Yeqing and he were in the house. Therefore, he thought that it could be a ghost who just looked at him. However, he couldn't see it, so he gave up. Gu Ning understood that it was impossible for Zhou Shengquan to see her, so she used her jade eyes to look at Zhou Shengquan again. She didn't focus on him this time, but followed him in her periphery, in case he felt her gaze again. Zhou Shengquan searched around in the house, but found nothing wrong. When he walked into the backyard, he put on a serious face the second he saw the willow trees and locust trees. He immediately figured out why this house was haunted. Mr. Zhao, did you decide to plant these trees yourself? Or did other people suggest you do it? Zhou Shengquan asked Zhao Yeqing. Well, my uncle told me to plant several willow trees and locust trees in the yard, so that we can feel cooler in summer. Zhao Yeqing was very honest. He didn't understand why Zhou Shengquan suddenly asked him that question about the trees. Cooler? I think you will probably lose your life because of them, so you won't feel hot anymore, Zhou Shengquan said. The backyard was indeed much cooler than other places, but it was full of yin. If people stayed there for a long time, the yin would badly affect their health. Zhao Yeqing's family members got sick one after another because of the bad effect of yin. If they didn't move out of this house, they could have lost their lives. Zhou Shengquan had a feeling that Zhao Yeqing's uncle purposely gave him that suggestion to hurt his family. His uncle was very evil. However, it was their family affair, so he didn't know how to talk about it. Gu Ning couldn't hear their conversation, but from his actions she could tell that he already found the cause. What does it mean? Zhao Yeqing was scared. Actually, he thought that it was ridiculous that these trees caused his family's bad luck, but he didn't say it aloud, because he didn't want to annoy Zhou Shengquan. Zhou Shengquan was a feng shui master after all, so he shouldn't question his ability. Zhou Shengquan had a weird character. Zhao Yeqing was able to invite him to visit his house thanks to their mutual friend, Xia Haijun. We can talk about it inside, Zhou Shengquan said, then walked into the living room, followed by Zhao Yeqing. Willow trees and locust trees are the best place of residence for ghosts from the aspect of feng shui. Yin comes with ghosts, which is very harmful for mortals. Your family members got sick precisely because of yin, and you don't feel well recently due to the bad effect of the yin on you as well, Zhou Shengquan said. What? Zhao Yeqing was shocked. Are there ghosts in those trees? He was terrified, and couldn't believe it. I don't know whether there are ghosts in them right now, but they attract yin here, so you must remove them as soon as possible, Zhou Shengquan said. He didn't see any ghost right now because he was just a mortal. Well, can my family recover after I remove those trees? Zhao Yeqing asked. He worried about his family's health most. Right? But your family should stay in the hospital for a while longer after those trees are removed. Zhou Shengquan nodded. Oh, you can't remove them on a random day. I'll choose a good day for you, he added. Sure. Thank you so much. Zhao Yeqing repeatedly thanked Zhou Shengquan. At the same time, he thought of his uncle and felt hurt. He realized that his uncle had the intention to hurt his family by suggesting that he plant those trees. In fact, his family had a good relationship with his uncle's family. At least they didn't have any grudge. He had even helped his uncle's family a lot before, because his family was much richer than his uncle's family. However, from now on, he would consider carefully whether he should give his uncle's family a helping hand again. He couldn't trust his uncle now. Luckily, his family all survived this time. If his uncle wanted to do something again to hurt his family, he wouldn't hesitate to pay his uncle back. All right, I need to go back now. I'll inform you once I've picked a good day for you, and no one should live here for the time being, Zhou Shengquan said. No problem. Let me drive you home, Zhao Yeqing said. When they were walking out, Gu Ning told Leng Xiaoting to drive away. What did you see? Leng Xiaoting asked her. Gu Ning then told Leng Xiaoting everything she knew. Leng Xiaoting hadn't known that some trees could easily be visited by ghosts until now. Those trees attract ghosts, but it doesn't mean that ghosts will certainly visit them and cause bad things to happen. There must be a reason for it, but we better not plant those trees in our home, Gu Ning said. It wasn't uncommon that some people would plant willow trees and locust trees in their yards, especially when their houses were very large, but not all of them would encounter trouble. If ghosts often visited a place, the place could have been a graveyard in the past, or someone might have been killed here. Anyway, ghosts wouldn't come for no reason. Zhou Shengquan seemed to be a skilled feng shui master, so Gu Ning didn't bother to get involved in it this time. She believed that he could handle it well. Gu Ning hadn't been to her company for days, so she decided to have a look today. Shortly after she went back to her company, she received a call from Ning Changkai. Ning Changkai told her that a man and a woman wanted to work with Colane, but he declined, so they insisted on seeing her. Gu Ning frowned. It seemed that the two visitors weren't kind. What's her name? Gu Ning asked. The woman told me that her name is Dongfang Ziyu, Ning Changkai said. Hearing that, Gu Ning squinted. If Dongfang Ziyu really came to see her, she wouldn't mind meeting her. She was curious to know why Dongfang Ziyu insisted on seeing her. Gu Ning had no grudge against Dongfang Ziyu, so she didn't understand why Dongfang Ziyu did it. Was it possible that Dongfang Ziyu found out about her secret? Is she a young woman? Gu Ning asked. Yes, Ning Changkai said. He thought that Gu Ning might know this woman. Great. I'll see her. Tell them to wait for a while. I'll be there in half an hour, Gu Ning said, then hung up the call. After that, Gu Ning told Leng Xiaoting to stay in her office, and that she would meet Dongfang Ziyu alone. Gu Ning didn't want Leng Xiaoting to go with her, because she was worried that other cultivators might notice his change. Leng Xiaoting listened to her and stayed in her office. Luckily, the traffic wasn't heavy, so Gu Ning arrived after 20 minutes. The moment she approached the guest room, she sensed the special air of cultivators, so she knew that the visitor must be Dongfang Ziyu. Wu Shunhua came with Dongfang Ziyu this time, and Gu Ning had met him before too. She wasn't surprised when she saw their faces. Dongfang Ziyu and Wu Shunhua also stayed calm, because they had learned a lot about Gu Ning on the internet before they came. To their astonishment, the owner of Colane was a very young girl. It was very unbelievable for a young girl to own such a profitable business. Nice to see you, Miss Gu. They politely greeted Gu Ning. However, even though they behaved politely, Dongfang Ziyu still looked a little arrogant. She had always been very proud of herself, and almost looked down her nose at everyone, especially at mortals. In many cultivators' eyes, mortals were inferior to them. After all, cultivators were much stronger than mortals, and they could easily defeat mortals. However, there was a rule in the cultivation world that cultivators couldn't casually hurt mortals when there was no benefit conflict. In fact, the four dominant families weren't the most powerful cultivators in the cultivation world. The only orthodox sect in the cultivation world was Tiandamen, and there were countless senior cultivators with useful guides in it, so many cultivators dreamed about joining it. However, it wasn't easy for other people to join Tiandamen because Tiandamen only accepted talented cultivators. Bailey Zongyang, Bailey Zongxue, and Dongfang Ziyu were members of Tiandamen. Tiandamen was the most respected sect in the cultivation world, and it also had the power to punish cultivators if they did anything wrong. Therefore, normally cultivators didn't dare to cause trouble in mortals' world. May I help? Gu Ning walked towards Dongfang Ziyu and Wu Shunhua with the air of a king. Both Dongfang Ziyu and Wu Shunhua were surprised by it. Please have a seat. Gu Ning invited them to sit down on the sofa. Dongfang Ziyu and Wu Shunhua seated themselves. After that, Dongfang Ziyu opened her mouth. Miss Gu, your pharmacy business is very profitable, and the supply is unable to meet the demand now. Don't you want to expand your business? Dongfang Ziyu actually had no interest in running a business, but she simply wanted the magical power in Colane's medicines. Dongfang Ziyu and Wu Shunhua also noticed the existence of magical power in Colane's medicines. Then they found out that Gu Ning was its owner. The best way for them to figure out the reason was to be involved in the production of Colane medicines. Sorry, I have no intention to work with other companies on that. Although the supply is indeed unable to meet the demand now, I believe the situation will be better in a short time, Gu Ning said. Since Gu Ning said that, Dongfang Ziyu had to accept it. I'm curious to know why Colane medicines are unusually effective compared with other medicines of the same kinds, Dongfang Ziyu asked. Hearing that, Gu Ning realized why Dongfang Ziyu came to see her today. She was a cultivator too, so she must have come for the magical power in the medicines. Gu Ning thought it was highly likely, but she didn't feel anxious at all. If Dongfang Ziyu already found out about the magical power in Colane medicines, Bailey Zongyang and his younger sister could be aware of it too. They were all cultivators and wanted magical power most. Although Gu Ning knew that Bailey Zongyang and his younger sister approached her for a purpose, she still had a good impression of them, because they were very kind to her. Dongfang Ziyu, on the contrary, left a bad impression on Gu Ning, because Gu Ning felt that she was unkind and calculating. In fact, even though they knew there was magical power in Colane medicines, they couldn't get it, as long as Gu Ning denied them. Well, I'm just the manager of the company, and know nothing about medicine formulas, so I'm afraid I can't answer your question, Gu Ning said with a smile. She stayed calm, and spoke with sincerity. Dongfang Ziyu half believed her words, because there was no other better explanation for it. In addition, she understood that the medicine formulas were highly confidential for a pharmaceutical company. Even if Gu Ning was very clear about the medicine formulas, she wouldn't tell her. Because Gu Ning was unwilling to cooperate with them, Dongfang Ziyu had to leave. When Dongfang Ziyu and Wu Shunhua were gone, Gu Ning had a private talk with Ning Changkai. Gu Ning asked Ning Changkai how many power crystals were left in his hands, and Ning Changkai told her that he still had many. Gu Ning then told him to lock them in the safe when he got back home today. And although Ning Changkai was confused, he didn't ask further about it and agreed. Gu Ning was worried that Dongfang Ziyu and Wu Shunhua might find them in the night. When Dongfang Ziyu and Wu Shunhua left Colane, they didn't drive far from it. Instead, they stopped the car at an inconspicuous corner, then waited for Gu Ning to come out. They didn't want to have conflict against Gu Ning face to face, but simply planned to follow her to see what they could find. Although Gu Ning was unwilling to share more information with them, they still wanted to find out the truth. Gu Ning left after reminding Ning Changkai about what he should do. Shortly after she was on the road, she noticed that someone was following her. She didn't bother to stop or change her route, because she knew who was in the car behind her. When the traffic light became red, Gu Ning stopped and used her jade eyes to see who was in the private car behind her. She was right, because Wu Shunhua was sitting on the driver's seat and Dongfang Ziyu was in the front passenger's seat. Gu Ning knew that they wouldn't give up easily, so she wasn't surprised that they secretly followed her. Magical power was very important in their eyes, and they were reluctant to believe her lie. Gu Ning didn't hesitate and went back to her company. Although they were following her, they couldn't get into her company, So Gu Ning wasn't worried that they might sense the magical power from the night-luminescent pearl in Leng Xiaoting's body. They could only feel the magical power of a night-luminescent pearl within 20 meters. Leng Xiaoting was on the 18th floor now, so it was impossible for Dongfang Ziyu and Wu Shunhua to find him. Gu Ning drove into the underground parking lot, while Dongfang Ziyu and Wu Shunhua stopped by the road. Only the staff of the Shengning organization could enter the underground parking lot, and there was an outside parking lot on the ground for visitors. Dongfang Ziyu and Wu Shunhua were surprised when Gu Ning drove into the underground parking lot. It was a very tall modern city building. "Is Gu Ning's company here?" Wu Shunhua said in astonishment. "I don't think so. There must be many companies in this building. Although Gu Ning is very successful, she can't afford such a skyscraper," Dongfang Ziyu said. She didn't disdain Gu Ning, it was a very normal thought. A company needed a healthy cash flow to run its business. Even if Cultivation had over hundreds of millions of yuan in assets, it only had a cash flow of 100 of million yuan at the most. Therefore, it wasn't very likely for Gu Ning to buy or rent such an expensive office building when she didn't have enough money. They only knew that Cultivation was owned by Gu Ning, and had no idea whether she had other companies. In addition, she could be coming to visit her friend's company. However, the truth was that this skyscraper indeed belonged to Gu Ning, and the building which was still under construction behind it was also owned by Gu Ning. Both of these two buildings were very high and large with beautiful green plants. It cost a lot to have such a big area to build office buildings in the capital where the land price was extremely high. Moreover, as Gu Ning's company was expanding, she was going to have more office buildings in other major cities. Because the Shengning organization wasn't officially established yet, its name wasn't put on the building, so outsiders didn't know that the two beautiful office buildings actually belonged to the same business group. Dongfang Ziyu and Wu Shunhua weren't aware of it either. Gu Ning used her jade eyes to see outside after she walked into the building, and saw Dongfang Ziyu and Wu Shunhua waiting in the car. They stayed in the car till she was back in her office. Gu Ning wondered if they would keep waiting until she left the building, then continue to follow her. So Gu Ning didn't mind at all. As long as she wanted to get rid of them, she could do that at any minute. Gu Ning didn't spend much time on this short trip, and only stayed outside for 1.5 hours. Leng Xiaoting was playing the game in Gu Ning's office that entire time. When he was free these days in the military base, he always chose to play the game. Su Jinchen and Chun Meng were greatly surprised when they saw their leader playing the game. They soon found out that the game was Battle in the Sky, which was developed by Gu Ning's company, so they got curious and downloaded the same game later. It was a game released by Gu Ning's company after all, and they were both single and had a lot of free time to kill. Su Jinchen used to play games on his computer and he knew a lot about games, but he was still no match for Leng Xiaoting. Chen Meng, on the other hand, had never played online games before, so it took him a long time to get familiar with it. After a few days, Chen Meng finally had the courage to play around with other players in the game, but he was killed in seconds because of his poor skills. As a result, Su Jinchen had already reached level 20, but Chen Meng was still at level 7. Leng Xiaoting, Su Jinchen, and Chen Meng stayed in the military base recently while the other members of the Red Flame were busy dealing with other things. They stayed to train high-level special forces. Although the Red Flame was an independent team, they would go to military bases to train high-level special forces. They were top soldiers in the army, so no one else was more qualified than them to train the high-level special forces. Once Gu Ning showed up, Leng Xiaoting asked her, "How is it?" "They came for the magical power in Cultivation's medicines," Gu Ning said. "Although they made an excuse trying to cooperate with me, I turned them down, but they wouldn't give up. They're still waiting for me in a car outside of the building now." "Will it be dangerous?" Leng Xiaoting was worried about Gu Ning's safety. Even though they were members of the good practice, cultivators were too strong and sometimes aggressive. "Don't worry, I have the Flood Dragon's help," Gu Ning said. She knew that she wasn't comparable to Dongfang Ziyu, but she wasn't worried at all because she had the Flood Dragon to help her. Leng Xiaoting nodded and relaxed a little. He couldn't stay by her side and protect her at all times after all. And even if he could do that, he wasn't stronger than Gu Ning and was still at a low level as a cultivator. After a short while, it was time for lunch. Gu Ning and Leng Xiaoting dined in the cafeteria. Dongfang Ziyu and Wu Shunhua were unwilling to leave. So Wu Shunhua went to buy fast food, and they directly had their lunch in the car. At this time, they stopped their car at the outside of another building, but they could still see the entrance of the headquarters of Gu Ning's company. There were office buildings, restaurants, hotels, etc. around them, so it was very convenient for them to find a place to stop their car. After having lunch, Leng Xiaoting asked Gu Ning to play the game with him. Gu Ning was surprised and asked him, "Did you just reach the same level as me?" Only players of the same level could play together in the game. Yes, Leng Xiaoting nodded. He didn't think that it was a big deal that he was able to reach the same level as Gu Ning within a short time. Great. Let's play the game together, Gu Ning said and took out her phone. Once she logged in, she saw many messages and many players wanted to add her as their friend in the game. Gu Ning didn't read those messages until she added Leng Xiaoting as her friend at first. After that, she agreed to the other players' applications. She didn't mind adding strangers as her friends in the game, because she spent little time on the game in her daily life. There was a limit for the amount of friends a person could add in the game, and Gu Ning would soon reach the limit. As for the other players' messages, Gu Ning had no time to reply to them. There were too many. The second Gu Ning was online. Many of her friends in the game invited her to play around together. Because each team could only have 5 members, Gu Ning decided to build a team by herself. Then she would add Leng Xiaoting and leave 3 spaces available for the quickest players to join her. The game system sent Gu Ning's friends a notification when she chose to build a team, so the other 3 available seats were occupied within a second. When other players saw the future king, they began to guess that this player could be Gu Ning's boyfriend. Although there were many other names that seemed to be a couple's name with Gu Ning's ID in the game, they weren't Gu Ning's friends, and there was no relationship between them. However, the future king was different. He was Gu Ning's friend, and was also a member of her team. The other members in Gu Ning's team asked her that question later, and Gu Ning admitted it. Because Gu Ning hadn't played this game for a long time, many game players were at a higher level than her. However, none of them dared to take Gu Ning lightly. Gu Ning was busy dealing with her business in her daily life, but her level went up quickly once she appeared in the game. Therefore, even though their levels were higher than Gu Ning for the time being, it didn't mean that their skills were better than hers. At the same time, some players judged other players according to their levels, and didn't take Gu Ning seriously when they were fighting against her in the game. As a result, they had a complete loss. Because of his profession, Leng Xiaoting knew the importance of tactics in a battle. Therefore, although his level was the lowest among the players, none of his enemies could hurt him. In the end, Gu Ning's team won every time. And because there was live broadcasting during their competition, many other players were attracted to it due to Gu Ning's influence. Although all the players lost against Gu Ning, they still enjoyed it. Till now, no one was able to defeat Gu Ning in the game. Wow! The future queen is so unbelievable. She never loses. Is the future king her boyfriend? They have a couple's name. Could they just be a couple in the game? The future queen is Goddess Gu, and Goddess Gu is certainly outstanding in every aspect. What? Really? Not everyone was aware of the fact that Gu Ning was the future queen in the game, so they couldn't believe it. Many people used fake names and photos in the game after all. Of course it's true. Go check on her Weibo. Those who didn't believe it went to read Gu Ning's Weibo at once, and they found out that it was true. Oh my! The future queen is Goddess Gu. No wonder she's so amazing. I want to play the game with Goddess Gu. You should at least reach the same level as her. Gu Ning and Leng Xiaoting logged out after playing the game for a while longer, so the other players who waited to play around with her felt disappointed. Anyway, it wasn't easy for Gu Ning to have some time to play with them in the game. Some people also thought that Gu Ning was a little arrogant because she always left quickly. Nevertheless, Gu Ning didn't know them at all, so it was ridiculous that they thought that she was disrespectful. Gu Ning didn't care about their opinions about her, because she had other important things to deal with in her real life. It was still early when they stopped playing the game, so Gu Ning and Leng Xiaoting took a nap. Gu Ning's office was very large, and the whole 18th floor belonged to her. The elevator was in the middle on the 18th floor. The first door after it led to a big lobby which occupied an area of 100 square meters. The reception room was on the right, while the secretary office as well as Gu Ning's office were on the left. Gu Ning didn't have a formal secretary right now, because Chun Songyi could handle everything for her. She only came to her company to deal with emergencies when other people needed her. Even though she had many great assistants, she was still busy at work. As the boss, she had to learn everything and know her business well. She was still a beginner in running a business, so there was a lot she needed to learn. When she was formally in charge of her company, she would hire other secretaries to help her. Gao Yi and Xiao Ye mostly served as her drivers and bodyguards. Gu Ning's office was about 100 square meters big, and everything she needed was inside. There was even a big balcony at the left side of her office where she planted many flowers. In the inner room was a bedroom with a double bed, a closet, and a bathroom. Although Gu Ning had enough time to go back home now, she could be very busy in the future and might have to stay in her office overnight. In addition, she could have a nap here too. Gu Ning's office only occupied half of the space on the 18th floor. The other half was left empty. It was a bright day and they were in the company now, so Lung Xiaoting wouldn't do anything inappropriate to Gu Ning and just fell asleep with her in his arms. When they woke up after 45 minutes, it was almost 2:30 p.m. Gu Ning used her jade eyes to see outside of the office building, and she found that Dongfang Ziyu and Wu Shunhua were still out there. They were so patient and didn't want to leave until Gu Ning showed up again. Lung Xiaoting rarely went to the headquarters of the Shengshe organization, but he never stopped learning the skills and knowledge he needed to manage his business empire well. Besides, he didn't have time to go back to the Lung family's old house these days. He stayed with Gu Ning every day and didn't feel bored at all. In fact, they were teaching each other a lot of things and they learned a lot from one another as well. At 4:30 p.m., Leng Xiaoting received a call from Master Leng, and Master Leng wanted to see him to talk about the issue of the Shen family. About over a half year ago, they found out that the Shen family was secretly scheming against them, but they needed time to collect enough evidence. Because the Shen family stayed very quiet during the rest of this year, they didn't have many chances to get clear evidence. However, Master Leng got new information today, and he needed to see Leng Xiaoting right away. Leng Xiaoting agreed and told Master Leng that he would be back this afternoon. Master Leng then asked Leng Xiaoting whether Gu Ning was free today. If she was free, they could dine together. Leng Xiaoting knew that Gu Ning was free today, but he was afraid that she might not want to visit the Leng family after what had happened with Leng Xiaojia. However, Leng Xiaojia was still in the hospital now, so they wouldn't meet her in the Leng family's old house. Therefore, Gu Ning agreed to dine in the Leng family's old house with Leng Xiaoting. Leng Xiaojia felt better after staying in the hospital for a long time, and she could sometimes fall asleep and eat some food on her own. Unfortunately, her waist was still sore, and she couldn't leave the bed. Because of the torture, Leng Xiaojia lost a lot of weight and looked haggard with many wrinkles on her face. She only felt lucky that she was still alive. Leng Xiaoting sent Master Leng a message back and told him that they were on the way. Although it wasn't 5 p.m. yet, they would spend a lot of time on the road, so they set off earlier. Dongfang Ziyu and Wu Shunhua were still waiting outside, so Gu Ning had to use another car. Leng Xiaoting would be the driver, and Gu Ning would try to hide on the rear seats. As a result, Dongfang Ziyu and Wu Shunhua had no idea that she had already left. Even though there was only a short distance between them when Leng Xiaoting drove the car away, the car moved very fast, so they were unable to catch the magical power of the night luminescent pearl in Leng Xiaoting's pocket. Just like that, Gu Ning disappeared from their sight. Once Dongfang Ziyu and Wu Shunhua were far behind them, Gu Ning moved to the front passenger's seat. The front passenger's seat was the exclusive girlfriend seat, so Gu Ning wouldn't leave it vacant. She only hid herself on the rear seats earlier to avoid Dongfang Ziyu and Wu Shunhua. They will probably have to wait for forever, Leng Xiaoting joked. Haha. They'll leave when the building is empty, Gu Ning said and felt amused. When they arrived at the Leng family's old house, it was 5:30 p.m. Master Leng directly ignored Leng Xiaoting and talked with Gu Ning for a long while. Ning, I'm so proud of you. You're the first person to get a full score ever. Master Leng was excited. It was not only Master Leng, The other members of the Lung family also felt happy for Gu Ning. Actually, only Lung Yuanxian's family held a grudge against Gu Ning, and the others, including the domestic servants, all had a good impression of Gu Ning. Miss Gu indeed has achieved an all-time record, Lung Changji said with a broad smile. He truly liked Gu Ning, and not just because both Master Lung and Leng Xiaoting liked her. Stop calling Ningning Miss Gu. You should call her Lady Lung from now on, Master Lung said with a serious face. Leng Xiaoting smiled with satisfaction, but Gu Ning felt a little embarrassed. Grandpa, it's too early to do that. Master Lung, however, was displeased. Why? If we had picked a perfect date this year, you two would have been engaged earlier on. You'll be Lady Ning sooner or later. Hearing that, Gu Ning didn't know what to say. Lung Changji listened to Master Lung and called Gu Ning again. Right, Lady Lung. Well? Gu Ning simply smiled and didn't dare to argue with them. They chatted for a while longer in the living room. Then Master Lung went to his study with Leng Xiaoting. Gu Ning had nothing else to do, so she told Leng Changji to bring her to Leng Xiaoting's room. She hadn't seen his room yet, and was curious about it. Because the Lung family's old house had a long history, it still kept the style of the past even though it had been rebuilt once. There was only one building in the Lung family's old house, but it was the size of a football field. There was also a front and backyard with beautiful trees and flowers. However, the Lung family's old house was still hardly comparable with the Tang family's house, because the Tang family was a super-rich business family, while the Lung family was involved in politics. The Lung family's old house was a family inheritance, and members of the Lung family couldn't afford such a big house with their salaries, because although members of the Lung family held important positions in the government, they were all upright officials. Because they were officials in the government, they couldn't run a business themselves. They could only invest in some businesses if they wanted to. Anyway, the money they made wasn't enough to buy such a grand house. This house cost at least hundreds of millions of yuan given its location, size, and decoration. Therefore, the Lung family only had great power in their country, and it didn't have a fortune. And except for Master Leng, no one knew that Leng Xiaoting was the owner of the Shengshe organization. Leng Xiaoting had no intention to keep it a secret, but Master Lung told him not to tell the others. The Shengshe organization didn't belong to the Leng family, it belonged to Leng Xiaoting, because it was left to him by his maternal grandfather. When outsiders heard that Leng Xiaoting's maternal grandfather left him many companies, Master Lung made up a lie and told them that Leng Xiaoting had sold the companies because he was only a soldier and knew nothing about business. As a result, no outsider knew how rich Leng Xiaoting was. In addition, no one dared to steal money from Leng Xiaoting. Leng Xiaoting's room was the first one on the right on the third floor. He was the eldest grandson of Master Lung, so his room was placed in front of the other grandchildren. Leng Xiaoming's room was right next to his. Their rooms were basically of the same size. There was a study at the entrance of Leng Xiaoting's room and it was about 30 square meters big. His room was very big with a bathroom and a closet, and was big enough to accommodate 2 people. However, because Leng Xiaoting seldom stayed there, his room looked empty and it was obvious that no one had lived there for a long time. Nevertheless, even though he seldom came back, his room was always clean. Lung Changji left after he brought Gu Ning to Leng Xiaoting's room, and he told Gu Ning to enjoy herself. Gu Ning walked around in Leng Xiaoting's room for a while, but soon felt bored. An idea dawned her that she could have a look at Leng Xiaoting's parents' room to see what she can find. She hoped that she could find something useful about Leng Xiaoting's mother and cultivators. Thinking of that, Gu Ning decided to talk about it with Leng Xiaoting later. In Master Leng's study, Master Leng said to Leng Xiaoting, "The Shin family and the Chun family were unusually quiet the rest of this year. I don't know whether they sensed something bad for them, or if they coincidentally had nothing to do. The Shin family must be fully prepared, since it dared to break the law. Although the Lung family had a group of skilled secret guards, they could do nothing if their target didn't take any action. The Lung family had a group of secret guards to protect it and they had complete loyalty towards it. And even though there were only just over 100 secret guards in the Lung family, they worked together like an army. Normally, about 30 secret guards stayed in the Lung family's old house as common security guards. Therefore, it was very difficult for bad people to intrude into the Lung family's old house. Because of the secret guards, the members of the Lung family could stay safe at home. It wasn't a secret that many powerful families had a group of secret guards to protect them, because they had many enemies. In the Lung family, however, only Master Lung and Lung Shouting were able to summon and order the secret guards to do something. Those secret guards obeyed their orders under any circumstances. The secret guards who were spying on them found something new today. Shen Yanfeng had a private meeting with Yuan Wanrui, the third son of the Yuan family. Although they didn't hear their conversation, it's very strange. The Yuan family isn't a friend, but Shen Yanfeng is one of our relatives, so he should know that we don't want to have any relationship with the Yuan family. They must be scheming against us. Master Lung frowned and looked worried. Lung Shouting was also confused. He definitely knew that Shen Yanfeng and Yuan Wanrui were planning something behind their backs. Shen Yanfeng had always been ambitious and greedy. I think he wants what we refused to give him from the Yuan family, Lung Shouting said with certainty. Although Shen Yanfeng was the Lung family's relative and the Lung family had helped him a lot, he wasn't satisfied with it. The problem now was that they didn't know the condition of Shen Yanfeng and Yuan Wanrui's agreement. If Shen Yanfeng really reached an agreement with Yuan Wanrui, they must be in the same party. Not every member of the four dominant families was smart and honest. The Lung family's direct descendants were mostly upright and outstanding, but its side branch was complicated. After all, there were too many members in a powerful big family. I think we better deal with the Shen family as soon as possible, Master Lung said. I understand. Lung Shouting nodded. Gu Ning had stayed in Lung Shouting's room for 20 minutes when Lung Shouting walked upstairs. Shouting, is your parents' room the same as before? Can I have a look at it? I think we can maybe find some useful clues, Gu Ning said once she saw Lung Shouting. Hearing that, Lung Shouting looked a little sad, but he didn't mind and agreed without hesitation. Sure, their room is still the same, but it's time for dinner now. We can go to their room after dinner. They didn't have enough time now. Great! Gu Ning smiled. After that, they went downstairs together. About 10 minutes later, Lung Yuanjin and the others came back home, and Lung Yuanjin and his wife were very happy to see Gu Ning. Lung Yuanqian, on the contrary, didn't want to see Gu Ning at all, because Gu Ning refused to give them her magical pills to cure Ling Xiaojia. Ling Xiaojia was his daughter after all, and he felt terrible when his daughter was being tortured by the pain. Even though Master Lung told him that Gu Ning was out of that magical pill, he didn't believe it. However, he was unwilling to beg Gu Ning for it, because he knew that Gu Ning wouldn't agree. Actually, Lung Yuanqian didn't know that Ling Xiaojia had hired a professional killer to murder Gu Ning. If Gu Ning was a weak girl, she could have been killed by the killer. And it was not only Gu Ning. Master Lung and other important members of the Lung family could also have been seriously injured because of Lung Xiaojia's stupid jealousy. Lung Yuanqian disliked Lung Shouting and Gu Ning, but he wasn't dumb and he knew what he couldn't do. Therefore, he only kept his distance from them. When everyone was present, the dinner began. Jiang Shuyuan stayed in the hospital to take care of Lung Xiaojia, so she was absent. Actually, in order to take care of Lung Xiaojia, Jiang Shuyuan had to commute between the hospital and her workplace every day. She had a job and couldn't leave it behind for too long. Jiang Shuyuan also brought several changes with her in case she needed to stay in the hospital overnight. Lung Xiaojia was a girl after all, so it was inconvenient for Lung Yuanqian to take care of her. Lung Yuanqian would go see her once he was free, so would Master Lung. Master Lung still cared about Lung Xiaojia because she was his granddaughter, but there was nothing he could do in the hospital. While Gu Ning was enjoying dinner in the Lung family's old house, the headquarters of the Shengning organization was almost empty. What's going on here? Does she know that we're following her? Wu Shunhua said. I don't think so. Maybe she hid in another car and left already, Dongfang Ziyu said. Wu Shunhua nodded and asked, what should we do now? Go back to our place, then figure out whether Gu Ning's company is in the building. We can continue to spy on her tomorrow, Dongfang Ziyu said. Although they came from the cultivation world, they had connections in the mortals world as well, so it wasn't difficult for them to find out about someone's background. In addition, Gu Ning was quite famous now, especially on social media. In the Lung family's old house, Lung Xiaoting brought Gu Ning upstairs after finishing dinner. His parents' room was on the second floor, and was the first room on the right too, and was under Lung Xiaoting's room. The layout of the second floor was basically the same as that of the third floor. Lung Xiaoting's parents' room was also very large. The refurbishment of the Lung family's old house happened when Lung Xiaoting's parents were still alive about a dozen years ago, so their room stayed the same as in the past. Everything in Lung Xiaoting's parents' room was covered by white cloth to protect it from dust. Because no one lived here, the room would only be cleaned twice a year. The first time was on the anniversary of their death, while the second time was at the New Year festival. The interval was nearly half a year. Lung Xiaoting looked sad once he walked near to his parents' room. Gu Ning understood his feelings, but it was unavoidable. Luckily, it was an old story, and Lung Xiaoting already grew up. Since they needed to search around in the room, they needed to remove the white cloth. "Oh, do you have a photo of your mother?" Gu Ning suddenly asked. There were cameras about a dozen years ago, but they used photographic film back then. "Sure." Lung Xiaoting nodded. After that, he went to take out an album with many photos of his family inside. Gu Ning flipped it at once and saw a family photo of Lung Xiaoting and his parents on the first page. She was stunned the second she saw Lung Xiaoting's mother, because his mother was very gorgeous. However, it made sense because Lung Xiaoting was extraordinarily handsome, so his parents couldn't be ordinary. Lung Xiaoting resembled his father, but he looked more attractive. In addition, when he was a little kid, he was super cute and Gu Ning immediately adored him. She kept on flipping through the album, which was mostly full of family photos of the three of them. They beamed with happiness in the photos, but Gu Ning somehow felt sad for Lung Xiaoting. He used to have a happy family and loving parents by his sides, but he lost them along with his smile in an accident. "Xiaoting, what's your mother's name?" Gu Ning asked. Lung Xiaoting hesitated for a second, then said, "Yunyao." Gu Ning nodded, then put the album down and began to search around the room. There was no need for her to search with her hands, because she had a pair of jade eyes. Within minutes, she found 2 old books transcribed by hand instead of printed by machine in the bookcase. Both of the books were about cultivation, and Gu Ning didn't think it was a coincidence. Without delay, she pulled them out from the shelves. Lung Xiaoting noticed and walked towards her. "Wow!" He was greatly surprised when he saw the names of the 2 books. To his astonishment, there were books about cultivation in his parents' room. He took over one of them and started to read it. "Well, I think this is my mother's handwriting." Although Lung Xiaoting's mother passed away when he was very young, he had a good memory and his mother's handwriting was impressive. An idea dawned on Gu Ning. "Did your mother leave anything else with her handwriting on it? If these 2 books were transcribed by your mother, I'm very sure that your mother was a cultivator. I think I can find some." Lung Xiaoting immediately went to search for Yunyao's notebooks with the help of his memories. In his memories, his mother loved taking notes and keeping recording everything funny that he did. At this time, Gu Ning began to read the 2 books. Although she knew little about cultivation, she thought that these 2 books might help Lung Xiaoting with it. Lung Xiaoting was a junior cultivator now, and he needed to learn much more to reach a higher level. Gu Ning read very fast, and she finished reading the 2 books within 20 minutes. Although she didn't understand their content, she still needed to remember them and study them, because it might be helpful for Lung Xiaoting. A short while later, Lung Xiaoting found Yunyao's notebook. "It is her handwriting." Lung Xiaoting made sure of it after flipping the notebook. Gu Ning compared the handwriting on Yunyao's notebook and that on the transcription. Then she made a judgment that Yunyao was a cultivator. However, even though they knew that Yunyao was indeed a cultivator, there was more about her that still remained unknown to them. Gu Ning thought that Yunyao could be a member of a powerful family in the cultivation world, and she might have enemies. If so, Lung Xiaoting would be in danger if they continued to search for more information about Yunyao. Lung Xiaoting was just a beginner and was no match for a real senior cultivator. When Gu Ning was reading Yunyao's notebook, she suddenly snorted with laughter. "What?" Lung Xiaoting was confused. "Well, you peed in bed when you were 5, ha 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 ha." Gu laughed. On one page, Yunyao recorded that Leng Xiaoting peed in his bed when he was 5 years old, but he poured a glass of water onto his bed to disguise it. Yunyao clearly knew, but didn't embarrass him and accepted his lie. Leng Xiaoting flushed and grabbed the notebook away from Gu hands at once. Although Gu was curious to know more about Leng Xiaoting's childhood, she didn't compete with Leng Xiaoting since he felt embarrassed. Well, Xiaoting, your mother left 2 good books about cultivation. I hope you can make full use of them, Gu said. I will. Leng Xiaoting put on a serious expression. Great. I'll put them into my telepathic eye space and I'll give them back to you later in case Grandpa sees them, Gu said. Sure. Leng Xiaoting agreed. When they were about to leave, Gu suddenly thought of an important question. If Yunyao was a cultivator, she shouldn't have died so easily. Xiaoting, I just thought of something important. Since your mother was a cultivator, she shouldn't have died so easily in the accident. Gu turned to face Leng Xiaoting and looked serious. Cultivators die, but they don't die easily. Can you tell me more details about your mother's death? Did you see your parents' bodies with your own eyes back then? Hearing that, Leng Xiaoting was surprised and remembered something abnormal. Well, I do realize there was something abnormal at the scene that year, because I only saw my father's face and my mother's face was broken after falling from the cliff because her face hit the ground, Leng Xiaoting said. He now doubted whether the dead woman was really her mother. He only had the thought, but wasn't sure whether it was true. Although cultivators wouldn't easily die, they still died and nobody knew what exactly had happened back then. However, if the dead woman wasn't his mother, who was she? Where did his mother go if she wasn't there? He refused to believe that his mother had abandoned his father in the accident, but he didn't know what to believe now. Gu also had the same idea that the dead woman might not be Leng Xiaoting's mother, but like Leng Xiaoting, it was only her doubt, because she had no evidence. Like what Leng Xiaoting just had in mind, cultivators wouldn't easily die, but they could still die, especially in a terrible accident. Besides, Yunyao fell from a very high cliff. It wouldn't kill her if she was a senior cultivator, but she could lose her life if her level was low. Therefore, it was possible that Yunyao was really dead. Gu had no intention to make any unkind speculations about the death of Leng Xiaoting's parents. Where did your parents lose their lives? Gu asked. Since they had doubt now, they needed to know more about it. Kunlun Mountain. They were chasing an evil criminal, and the criminal must have been very strong, so even my parents were no match for him, Leng Xiaoting said. If the criminal was able to defeat a cultivator, either he was too strong or Yunyao must have been too weak. No matter what, Gu made a decision to conduct an investigation. Xiaoting, I'll investigate it. I know you want to do the same thing, but I hope that you can focus on your cultivation first. You're not a mortal now. If other cultivators find you, you'll be in big trouble. We don't know whether your mother has enemies in the cultivation world. If your mother had enemies, they definitely will attack you before you reach a high level as a cultivator, Gu said. Sure. Leng Xiaoting nodded. He understood Gu concern. And you don't need to blame your mother even if the dead woman isn't her. All right? Gu said. She was worried that Leng Xiaoting might be in a bad mood. I won't, Leng Xiaoting said. He didn't believe that his mother would abandon his father like that, and he loved his mother deeply. Gu and Leng Xiaoting checked the room once again before they left. They only stayed upstairs for half an hour, and no one asked them what they had done when they went back to the living room. Gu and Leng Xiaoting stayed in the Leng family's old house for a while longer, then left. Qi Ziyue and Tang Yashin's wedding was tomorrow, and both of them were having a bachelor's party tonight with their own friends. They enjoyed the party with wild abandon. Gu clearly knew that they would do many inappropriate things at the party. So once she walked out of the Leng family's old house, she called Kay and told him to find out where they were right now. About 10 minutes later, Kay called Gu back, and Gu assigned a task to Gao Yi and Xiao Ye. She told them to spy on Qi Ziyue and Tang Yashin to see what they could get on them. Leng Xiaoting knew about Gu long-standing grudge against Tang Yashin and Qi Ziyue, but he didn't know that they were going to be married tomorrow, and Gu decided to take revenge at their wedding. In addition, Gu had already told him that she would handle it on her own, so he didn't ask further about it. Although Ling Xiaoting didn't ask further about it, Gu Ning had no intention to keep it a secret from him. However, before she could tell him her plan, Ling Xiaoting told her that he had to go back to the military base tomorrow and that he might see her again on this weekend if he could be free. In that case, Gu Ning simply nodded and said nothing. Because Bailey Zongyang and his younger sister stayed in Century City, Gu Ning and Ling Xiaoting stayed somewhere else tonight in case they sensed Ling Xiaoting's night luminescent pearl. Even if Ling Xiaoting didn't have the night luminescent pearl with him, they could still feel the air of a cultivator from him. Therefore, Gu Ning and Ling Xiaoting planned to go back to Ling Xiaoting's house tonight. Although it was almost 9 p.m., there was still a lot of traffic on the road. When they passed a side gate of a university, they saw a group of young men arguing at the sidewalk near the turn of the main road ahead, and they seemed to be fighting. Gu Ning didn't take it seriously, because she thought that they were just a bunch of noisy university students. Nevertheless, right as Ling Xiaoting drove the car towards them, a boy was suddenly pushed into the road by another boy and was about to be hit by the car. With an abrupt halt, Ling Xiaoting stopped the car 40 centimeters away from the boy. Luckily, Ling Xiaoting was very agile because if he had been a second later, the boy could have been hit. Gu Ning was angry when she saw the scene. No matter who pushed the boy out into the main road, they could be punished too if the boy was really hit by them. Therefore, once Ling Xiaoting stopped the car, Gu Ning got out of it and went to criticize them. "What's wrong with you? Why did you suddenly push him into the road? What if he was hit by our car?" Gu Ning shouted at a boy who pushed the boy. The group of boys were stunned by Gu Ning's beauty, but they were displeased when Gu Ning criticized them. "He is fine. What if he wasn't?" Gu Ning was furious. She stared straight at the boy. "Do you know what you've done? It's an attempted murder. You could be put in jail." The boy, however, wasn't scared at all. Instead, he showed obvious disdain and arrogance on his face. "Put me in jail? Do you know who I am? I'm—" Before he could finish, Gu Ning interrupted him. "I don't care who you are, and I can put you in jail as long as I want to do so." Gu Ning had no respect for him. "You?" The boy was mad and was surprised by Gu Ning's tone. Right when he was about to go beat Gu Ning, he looked shocked and terrified when he saw the man walking towards Gu Ning. Lord Leng. It was obvious that he recognized Ling Xiaoting. Ling Xiaoting didn't frequently show up in the high society, but he sometimes attended formal activities with Su Jinqin and his other close friends. So many people had a deep impression of him. This boy's brown-nosers didn't know Ling Xiaoting, but they knew that Ling Xiaoting must be a man of power from the boy's attitude towards him. When Gu Ning turned around, she was surprised to find that the boy who was pushed out to the main road was Gu Qingyun. What a coincidence! Although Gu Ning didn't get along with Gu Qingyun and she wasn't sure whether he hated her because of what had happened to Gu Xiaoxiao, she already forgave Gu Qinxiang and wouldn't regard Gu Qingyun as her enemy. In Gu Qinxiang's family, Gu Qingyun had the least conflict with Gu Ning. Therefore, if Gu Qingyun needed her help, she wouldn't mind giving him a helping hand. And Ning Ning, Gu Qingyun was also greatly surprised that he ran into Gu Ning today. He disliked Gu Ning before and had bullied her as well, but Gu Qinxiang told him that Gu Ning had helped his family a lot. If it hadn't been for her, his family would have fallen into poverty. Accordingly, he held no hatred towards Gu Ning. Instead, he felt guilty for what he had done to her. The boy had a premonition when he saw Gu Qingyun talking with Gu Ning. He was surprised that Gu Qingyun could have a relationship with Ling Xiaoting's friend. Although Gu Qingyun didn't have a direct relationship with Ling Xiaoting wouldn't stand aside and do nothing since he was his friend's friend. "Tell me what happened?" Gu Ning asked Gu Qingyun. She looked calm and showed concern for him. Gu Ning saw that Gu Qingyun had no hatred towards her now from his expression. Although she didn't care about how Gu Qingyun thought of her, she wouldn't mind being friendly to him if he had a good attitude. Moreover, Gu Qingyun obviously wanted to have a good relationship with her, who was an influential relative. "I just had conflict with my schoolmates," Gu Qingyun said with hesitation. He was a little afraid of his schoolmates. After all, his schoolmate who found fault with him was from a powerful family in the capital. Even though Gu Ning could help him out this time, it was possible that his schoolmate would take revenge after being humiliated afterwards. Gu Ning couldn't help him forever. Besides, Gu Qingyun wasn't very sure whether Gu Ning really forgave him. I need to know the details, Gu Ning said in a domineering tone. When Gu Ning was talking with Gu Qingyun, his schoolmates didn't dare to say a word. The boy who pushed him into the main road was even trembling in fear. He knew that he was doomed to be punished, but he still hoped that Leng Xiaoting would punish him lightly. Gu Qingyun was a little afraid of Gu Ning, so he had to tell her everything. Even if Gu Ning couldn't help him, it wouldn't end badly anyway. Therefore, Gu Qingyun took a long breath in before he said, I have a girlfriend who's the most beautiful girl in our grade. She's also smart and easygoing, so she's quite popular among the boys. My schoolmate was just forcing me to break up with her, but I didn't agree, so he pushed me. Saying that, Gu Qingyun felt very lucky that he ran into Gu Ning tonight. Hearing that Gu Qingyun's girlfriend was the most beautiful girl in their grade, Gu Ning wasn't surprised. Gu Ning was gorgeous, so it was totally reasonable that the others in the Gu family were also attractive. Gu Qingyun was very handsome, so it was highly likely for his girlfriend to be pretty. Qingyun, I'm so sorry about what just happened. It's all my fault, and I promise that it won't happen again. Please forgive me this time, Gu Qingyun's schoolmate begged him. In fact, he was too scared of Leng Xiaoting. If he continued to bully Gu Qingyun, Leng Xiaoting might be mad at him, and his family would be in trouble if he offended Leng Xiaoting. Although his family was very rich and he often bullied his schoolmates because of that, his family wasn't comparable to the Leng family at all. Gu Qingyun was surprised by his attitude, but he said nothing and turned to look at Gu Ning. He needed to know what Gu Ning thought. What do you think? Gu Ning asked for Gu Qingyun's opinion instead. I have no idea. Gu Qingyun was honest. Can I make the decision here? Gu Ning kindly asked. Sure. Gu Qingyun agreed right away. Even though he could have been seriously injured because of his schoolmate, he was safe and fine now. It wouldn't do him any good if they severely punished his schoolmate. Moreover, his schoolmate showed a good attitude and apologized with sincerity. So Gu Ning decided not to punish him this time. Gu Ning also clearly knew that Gu Qingyun didn't dare to punish his schoolmate. Well, I can let you go this time, but you should stop harassing my older cousin and his girlfriend, or you'll learn a lesson from me, Gu Ning said in a serious tone. Gu Qingyun was struck dumb for a second when Gu Ning was still willing to admit that they were relatives. All of a sudden, he had mixed emotions. His schoolmates, at the same time, were shocked. To their astonishment, Gu Ning was Gu Qingyun's younger cousin. Sure. They nodded at once. Oh, there is another thing. Gu Ning opened her mouth again. If you see my older cousin being bullied by anyone else in the future, help him whenever you can. Understand? Gu Ning said. Since Gu Qingyun's girlfriend was quite popular, he might end up in trouble again. In addition, these boys seemed to be influential, so Gu Qingyun could be safer with their help. No problem. They didn't think that it was a big deal and even agreed with honor. At this time, Gu Qingyun's schoolmate guessed that Gu Ning might have a special relationship with Leng Xiaoting. He had heard about Leng Xiaoting before, and it was said that he always kept a distance from girls. But Gu Ning stood quite close to him. If Gu Ning was Leng Xiaoting's girlfriend, Gu Qingyun would become his relative. No matter what, they shouldn't be stupid and find fault with Gu Qingyun again. Gu Qingyun felt touched when Gu Ning showed her willingness to protect him. She was indeed kind and tolerant. Gu Qingyun didn't want Gu Ning to regard him or his family as an enemy. Even though they didn't get along with each other, they could simply be strangers. If Gu Ning took him as her enemy, she could easily ruin his life as long as she wanted. Gu Ning then ignored Gu Qingyun's schoolmates and gave him her name card. Remember my number and call me if you need my help. Her attitude was still a little cold towards Gu Qingyun, but it was obvious that she already forgave him. Thanks, Ning, and I should apologize to you for what I've done before, Gu Qingyun said, feeling guilty. It's fine, I can forgive you, Gu Ning said, then left. Leng Xiaoting held her hand and opened the car door for her before he drove away. His behavior shocked Gu Qingyun's schoolmates, because it meant that Gu Ning was really his girlfriend. Actually, Leng Xiaoting purposefully did that to show them his real relationship with Gu Ning, so that they would know that it was serious. Those boys didn't relax until Gu Ning and Leng Xiaoting disappeared from their sight. Gu Qingyun didn't bother to talk with them either, and just turned around and walked away. Even though they wouldn't hurt him anymore because of Gu Ning, he was still unwilling to stay with them. And they didn't stop him because they honestly had no idea how to face him right now. Hey, who is this Lord Lung? They began to talk about Lung Shouting afterwards. His full name is Lung Shouting, and he was born in the Lung family in the capital. What? The boys who didn't recognize Lung Shouting earlier now felt scared. No wonder he looked so powerful. Luckily, Gu Qingyun was fine. If Gu Qingyun was injured, they would be in big trouble. Thinking of that, they felt quite lucky. Well, I'm surprised that Gu Qingyun's younger cousin is Lord Lang's girlfriend. Luckily he's fine, or we'd be doomed. We better stay away from him in the future. Idiot! Since his younger cousin is Lord Lang's girlfriend, we should figure out a way to form a good relationship with him. Right, didn't you hear what the girl just said? She wants us to protect Gu Qingyun if anyone else dares to bully him. I'm curious about Gu Qingyun's younger cousin now. Me too. Who is she? She's very pretty and looks smart as well. I think she and Lord Lung are a perfect match. Alright, we should go back now. After that, they went back to their school. Dongfang Ziyu soon learned a lot about Gu Ning on the internet, which wasn't difficult because Gu Ning was famous. Dongfang Ziyu learned the basic information about Gu Ning first, which included her name, address, place of birth, etc. She also found out that Gu Ning was the top scorer of this year's National College Entrance Examination. And other than that, Gu Ning also had many profitable companies under her name. Gu Ning was very young, but she already became a billionaire. In addition to that, there was a lot of news about her brave deeds on the internet as well. She had saved many people's lives before, and videos as well as pictures of her brave deeds abounded on social media. Moreover, Dongfang Ziyu also found out that the beautiful office building was under Gu Ning's name, and it was the headquarters of her business group. She had an expensive house in Century City too. Although Gu Ning had more achievements than the above, Dongfang Ziyu wasn't a hacker and couldn't find out everything about her. Nevertheless, after reading the above information about Gu Ning, both Dongfang Ziyu and Wu Shunhua were shocked. To their astonishment, Gu Ning was able to become a billionaire at such an early age. She was a kung fu master as well. In that case, Gu Ning was a very strong match. However, no matter how strong Gu Ning was, she wasn't comparable to cultivators. After all, Dongfang Ziyu was very outstanding among cultivators. Therefore, even though Dongfang Ziyu admitted that Gu Ning was a kung fu master, she didn't think that Gu Ning was able to notice them when they were following her. She only made a decision to be more careful when she went to spy on Gu Ning in the future. Wow! She's really incredible. Wu Shunhua was amazed too. He wasn't as outstanding as Dongfang Ziyu. In fact, Dongfang Ziyu was much better than him, so he didn't have much confidence in himself. So although he didn't think Gu Ning could defeat him either, he took her more seriously. Dongfang Ziyu took Gu Ning lightly only because she didn't know more details about Gu Ning's achievements. Her cultivation was in the period of turning qi into energy, and she wasn't the top cultivator. If she could reach the top level of cultivation, her strength and skills would be greatly enhanced. In addition, she could stay young and beautiful forever. Dongfang Ziyu was only in the primary period of turning qi into energy, and it was super difficult for her to go up to the next level. She had been stuck in the current period for almost a year now. Even though Bailey Zongyang, the well-known and talented cultivator in the cultivation world, was in the same period as her, he had already reached the middle period. Therefore, Bailey Zongyang was much stronger than Dongfang Ziyu, and Gu Ning probably couldn't defeat him even if she had the Flood Dragon's help. Lung Xiaoting was at the early stage of turning the power into qi, which was the base of the next level. Once he had enough experience, he would be able to see what mortals couldn't. In other words, he would see ghosts and monsters like Gu Ning could. All cultivators could do that. So what? She's simply a mortal. Dongfang Ziyu frowned with dissatisfaction. In her eyes, mortals were inferior to cultivators. Without any reason, Dongfang Ziyu somewhat disliked Gu Ning. Although Gu Ning was only a mortal, she couldn't help comparing herself with Gu Ning. Wu Shunhua closed his mouth at once, because he could see that Dongfang Ziyu didn't like Gu Ning. Gao Yi and Xiao Ye indeed got something useful. Gao Yi was spying on Qi Ziyue and took a video of him talking with a girl. They were drinking together, but the girl got drunk quickly, so Qi Ziyue proposed to drive her home. Afterwards, they got in the car, but Qi Ziyue didn't start it. Gao Yi had secretly set a miniature camera and an audio recorder in the ceiling tape of the front windshield of Qi Ziyue's car. The camera was able to clearly film everything happening in the car, but the audio recorder probably couldn't record the voices due to the thick glass. Gao Yi then waited aside to see what would happen. Without delay, Qi Ziyue pushed the girl down and pressed on her before they had sex right in the car. The car shook for several minutes then stopped, because they didn't want others to find out what they were doing. After the casual sex, the girl threw herself into Qi Ziyue's arms and cried, "Ziyue, you're going to be married tomorrow. What should I do? Do we have to leave each other?" The girl wasn't pretending. She literally was heartbroken. "Even if I'm married, we can still be together, but we can't meet often. Don't worry. I already told you that I don't like Tang Yashin at all, and I'm only marrying her to steal the Tang family's property and take my revenge. Once I finish that, I'll divorce her and marry you," Qi Ziyue said with sincerity. It was recorded by the audio recorder, because he didn't bother to lower his voice. "I know you won't abandon me, but I just feel sad. No matter what happens, you have my support," the girl said. After that, Qi Ziyue drove the girl home. Tang Yashin did nothing abnormal and directly went back home at 12 a.m. When it was 1 a.m., Gu Ning received an email from Gao Yi, but she was already asleep at this time. The next day, Leng Xiaoting and Gu Ning finished breakfast at 8 a.m., but Gu Ning didn't have time to check her email box until after Leng Xiaoting left. When she heard that Qi Ziyue was going to take revenge, she was surprised. She had no idea that Qi Ziyue held a grudge against the Tang family. If she found out about it earlier on, she might have waited to see what Qi Ziyue would do to the Tang family, but now it was too late because she had her own plan too. She couldn't wait a second longer to get revenge on the Tang family. It had been a year since her reincarnation, and she needed to seize the time to conduct her plan. Qi Ziyue and Tang Yashin's wedding would be held at 3 p.m. in a beautiful manor owned by the Tang family, and it would be an open wedding. Gu Ning was free that morning, but she decided to stay in Leng Xiaoting's house. She wouldn't go to her company because she knew that Dongfang Ziyu was still waiting for her there. And it wasn't difficult for Dongfang Ziyu to find out the address of her home, so she wouldn't go back to Century City either. Gu Ning was right, because Dongfang Ziyu and Wu Shanhua indeed went to wait for her outside of Century City and the Shengning organization early in the morning. They wanted to follow her as they planned, but it wouldn't last for long. They wanted to find the magical power as soon as possible, but they seemed to be disappointed. Wu Shanhua stayed outside of Century City and arrived at 7 a.m. He didn't see Gu Ning, but accidentally caught Bailey Zongxue walking out of a house. He was greatly surprised when he saw Bailey Zongxue there. He thought that Bailey Zongxue might be curious about Gu Ning too. What he didn't know was that Bailey Zongyang was also here, but had already left. Nevertheless, when Bailey Zongxue walked out, he saw her with a simple glance. Without hesitation, he called Dongfang Ziyu. "Ziyu, I just saw Bailey Zongxue in Century City," Wu Shanhua said, sounding surprised. "What?" Dongfang Ziyu was astonished too. Did they notice that Gu Ning is abnormal as well? She didn't think that Bailey Zongxue would show up in Century City for no reason. It couldn't be a coincidence. Unfortunately, it was indeed a coincidence. Bailey Zongyang moved into Century City before Gu Ning, and it was Gu Ning who ran into Bailey Zongyang. "Hasn't Gu Ning left her home yet?" Dongfang Ziyu asked. It was 9 a.m. now, so Gu Ning should have left for work. Even though Gu Ning was the boss, she couldn't leave her home that much later than the staff. "I don't see her yet. How about on your side?" Wu Shanhua asked. Although he paid attention to the gate of Century City, there was more than one exit. He was outside of the front gate, but there was a back gate at the other side of this living area. However, normally Gu Ning left Century City from the front gate, so he stayed there. It was also nearer to the main road. If Gu Ning left from the back gate, it meant that she needed to deal with something else, or she must have found out that they were following her. Wu Shanhua didn't think that it was possible. There was another possibility, which was that Gu Ning had another car and her chauffeur drove her. In that case, he wouldn't see her because he couldn't recognize all of her cars. I found nothing. She's probably still home, Dongfang Ziyu said. She didn't believe that Gu Ning could disappear from their sight. Anyway, they had wasted a lot of time on waiting today. Although Wu Shunhua saw Bailey Zhongxue, he had no intention to follow her. Bailey Zhongxue was a good cultivator, so it was easy for her to notice him. Moreover, Dongfang Ziyu was eager to figure out why there was magical power in Colane medicines, but she didn't have the idea to buy a house in Century City so that she could observe Gu Ning from a short distance. At the same time, Gu Ning stayed in Lang Xiaoting's house and read news to kill time. Tang Yaxin and Qi Ziyue's wedding already went viral on the internet, and many people were talking about it on social media. The Tang family was a well-known super-rich family, so reporters were more than willing to report the big news. However, not many people thought that Tang Yaxin and Qi Ziyue could live happily after their marriage, because there was a huge gap between them in regards to their social statues. In fact, Qi Ziyue relied on Tang Yaxin to become rich. It was undeniable that Qi Ziyue was outstanding, but he couldn't be promoted to deputy executive without Tang Yaxin's help. At the beginning, Tang Bingsan didn't think that Qi Ziyue could be successful and his daughter should marry into another super-rich family. So he reminded Tang Yaxin not to take her relationship with Qi Ziyue seriously. However, Qi Ziyue was involved in Tang Aining's death later, and Tang Bingsan was worried that Qi Ziyue might expose his dirty secrets if he kicked him out of his family, which was the reason why he allowed Tang Yaxin to marry Qi Ziyue. Qi Ziyue noticed those negative comments on him as well. He was furious, but fury was useless. Anyway, he had already achieved his goal, and that was all he wanted. In the Tang family's manor, the event location was decorated very well, and it looked extremely luxurious and romantic. At 2 p.m., Qi Ziyue and Tang Yaxin were ready, but they stayed in different lounges for the time being. Qi Ziyue was in a white suite today, which accentuated his handsome appearance, while Tang Yaxin was in a wedding gown customized by Jason from Paris, and she looked more elegant than usual, because although Tang Yaxin was born in a super-rich family, she normally behaved like a foxy woman. Nevertheless, she was totally different at her wedding today. Tang Yaxin's female friends were her bridesmaids. "My daughter is so gorgeous. I've never seen a bride who's more beautiful than her." Ji Yijing kept complimenting her daughter. At the same time, she couldn't help but think of Tang Aining and felt displeased. Although she was unwilling to admit it, it was a fact that Tang Aining was prettier than Tang Yaxin. Fortunately, Tang Aining was dead. The existence of Tang Aining's mother was a humiliation in Tang Bingsan's eyes, because Tang Bingsan relied on Tang Aining's mother to become successful. Tang Aining's mother was too outstanding and admired, so almost everyone thought that he was a kept man. In that situation, Ji Yijing seized the chance and became Tang Bingsan's mistress. And because of Tang Aining's mother, Tang Bingsan hated Tang Aining too and never treated her as his daughter. I agree, Yaxin is always stunning. Not every girl can look as attractive in a wedding gown as Yaxin does. Many people began to flatter Tang Yaxin, even though Tang Yaxin wasn't actually the prettiest girl at the scene. Anyway, Tang Yaxin had great confidence in her appearance. She never thought that other people were flattering her, because she believed that she was more beautiful than any other girls around her. Ji Yijing didn't stay in the bride's lounge for long, and soon left to welcome the guests. At this time, many influential figures in politics, business, entertainment, and media were all present. It was Tang Yaxin and Qi Ziyue's wedding, but it was also an important event for people in high society to gather together. So many guests came for a purpose. All of the invited people were either rich or powerful, so it was a great chance for them to socialize. Therefore, guests of the same purpose always stood in a circle and chatted with each other. Some super-rich young girls or boys were also busy striking up a conversation with their targets. Normally, the younger generation from families of the same social status could easily become friends with one another. Actually, they didn't have many choices as to their marriage because of their family background, so they had to choose from within their friend circle. Look, that's Lord Lu. His father is a senior official in the government and his mother was born in the Feng family. Although a senior official isn't as rich as a successful businessman, the Feng family relies on Lord Lu's father to expand its business. Oh, that's Lord Wang. He's 28 this year, and his family has over £1 billion in wealth. Most importantly, he's single. Lord Ming is there. He's unmarried, but he's already 30. I heard that he has a girlfriend from an ordinary family, but his family is reluctant to accept the girl. I don't think the poor girl can marry into his family. I see Lord Fu there. Although his family isn't very rich, he's a relative of the Tang family. Look, Lady Zhou is back home after studying abroad for years. She's working in her family's business now, but unfortunately she has an older brother, or she can take over. Lady Qin also came today. Both of her parents are senior officials in the government. Countless businessmen want her to be their daughter-in-law. Lady Yu is 22 this year, and she's interested in acting. The Yu family has an entertainment company in the industry, so nobody dares to harass her. Most people in high society were unwilling to lose their influence or wealth, so they only paid attention to other people in the same circle as them. In their eyes, the person's family background was the most important factor in the marriage, but his or her appearance also mattered. I don't understand why there are so many people who always mix their children's marriage with their family's business. I don't think their children can have a happy marriage if they put benefits ahead of happiness. A marriage without love can't last. Money is good, but life is long. I agree, and happiness plays an important role in one's life too. Some guests also began to talk about Tang Yaxin and Qi Ziyue. They must be in love since they're going to marry each other, although there is a huge gap between them. Right? I'm also willing to marry my true love without caring how much money he has. True love? Seriously? I don't think so. Come on, true love really exists. I know, but it doesn't often happen. Men are more realistic than women, and they always marry in order to climb up the social ladder. I learned this lesson from personal experience. Actually, there were all kinds of people in this world, and having a happy marriage depended on one's luck. Some people changed completely after marriage, which often happen nowadays. Therefore, everyone should be careful before walking into a marriage. Although the Tang family was a super-rich family in the capital, not every member in high society had a good relationship with it. In addition, there were too many influential people in the capital, so only a third of them attended today's wedding. There were 3 kinds of people among the present guests today. The first kind was those who were familiar with Tang Bingsen, the second kind was business partners of the Tang organization, while the third kind was his acquaintances. In fact, most of the guests were his acquaintances. As for those who were in a higher position than Tang Bingsen didn't have the courage to invite them to come. For example, the 4 dominant families and the top officials in the capital weren't in the same circle as him. Even the Su family didn't show up at the party, and the Tang family could only invite some other super-rich families at the same level as it to come. Other super-rich families at the same level as the Tang family simply sent a young member to represent them and join in the party, so as to not embarrass Tang Bingsen. All in all, this wedding held by the Tang family was still a big event in the capital. When Tang Bingsen chatted with his guests kept congratulating him on his daughter's wedding. Not every guest had a good relationship with Tang Bingsen, and some guests had conflicts with him in business. However, they knew how to create a cheerful atmosphere on the surface. They weren't arch enemies after all. Chairman Tang, I really admire your tolerance. You don't care about your son-in-law's family background at all. An owner of a famous company joked in an acidic tone. In fact, the act of marrying someone of a lower social and economic class would only be joked about in high society. In their eyes, poor people were inferior to them. Chairman Liu, I don't need to use my daughter to develop my family business, so I don't care about my son-in-law's background. As long as they can be happy together, they have my best wishes, Tang Bingsen said and curbed his anger. It was a complete lie. He indeed didn't need Tang Yaxin to help him develop his family business, because Tang Aining had been doing that. Without Tang Aining's effort, the Tang family couldn't have developed so rapidly. No matter how much he disliked Tang Aining was his daughter, but unfortunately not many of his friends were aware of it. Chairman Lu was struck dumb for a second and didn't know what to say. However, what Tang Bingson just said offended other successful businessmen around them, because they all needed their children to help them improve their family business. However, although they did that, none of them were willing to admit that it was an alliance. Tang Bingson knew that it wasn't a pleasant topic, so he dropped it right away. Chairman Lu had no intention to talk about it further either. At this moment, Tang Qingyang walked over, and Jiang Ruiqin and Song Nen followed him. They were Tang Qingyang's best friends, so they knew about his long-standing grudge against the Tang family. They supported Tang Qingyang and hoped that he could succeed in taking his revenge. Although Tang Qingyang didn't tell them that he was working with Gu Ning now, he told them that there would be a big drama at the wedding today, so they got excited and wouldn't miss the chance to witness the drama. Tang Qingyang, Jiang Ruiqin, and Song Nan were familiar faces in high society, because Tang Qingyang was a member of the Tang family and he didn't leave the capital until his parents were caught by the accident. He had only left the capital for 3 years, so many people still remembered him. The Jiang family held an important position in politics, and it also had a good relationship with the Lung family in the capital. Jiang Ruiqin was running his own business now, so he often socialized with other people in the same circle as him. As for Song Nan, although his family wasn't as influential as Tang Qingyang's and Jiang Ruiqin's family, his family wasn't poor at all. Song Nan's father was the principal of a prestigious university in the capital, and his mother was the deputy director of a famous hospital. Song Nan was also a successful young businessman. Tang Qingyang came in a dark red-brown suit. Jiang Ruiqin was in a dark blue suit, while Song Nan was in a common black suit. The three of them were very handsome and attracted a lot of attention once they showed up. In fact, not many men at the party were more attractive than them. Wow, they're so handsome. I can't move my gaze from them. Who are they? I know them. The man in the red suit is Chairman Tang's nephew, and he's also a major shareholder of the Tang organization. Really? How about the man in the blue suit? He's Jiang Ruiqin. Do you know the Jiang family in the capital? His family has a great relationship with the Lung family, and his father is also a senior official in the government. The man in the black suit is Song Nan. His father is the principal of a prestigious university in the capital, and his mother is the deputy director of a famous hospital. He's also very rich in his own right. Jesus, they're very outstanding among their peers, right? So they're quite popular. In fact, although the three of them weren't the richest or the most powerful men at the party, they were the most popular men among the girls. Why don't we try to strike up a conversation with them? I don't have the courage. Come on. There are too many rich girls at this party, and we must show more initiative. Some young men were displeased when they noticed that Tang Qingyang and his friends were more popular than them, but they couldn't do anything about it. Because the Jiang family and the Song family didn't have a close relationship with the Tang family. Tang Bingson didn't have the chance to invite them, so he felt honored that Jiang Ruiqin and Song Nan could come. They came because of Tang Qingyang, but Tang Bingson didn't mind. He cared more about the importance of his guests. Tang Qingyang and his friends went to greet Tang Bingson, who was the host, once they walked into the hall. Uncle Tang, congratulations. I'm sorry I didn't tell you earlier on that I would come with 2 of my friends, Tang Qingyang said with a gentle smile. Even though both of them took each other as an unavoidable enemy, they still pretended to be kind towards one another before their long-standing grudge was placed on the table. Tang Bingson also put on a broad smile. Don't say that. All of you're welcome here, and I feel honored that Lord Jiang and Lord Song are willing to come. Although Jiang Ruiqin and Song Nan were much younger than Tang Bingson, their families were more influential than the Tang family. Therefore, Tang Bingson had to be polite to them, at least on the surface. Congratulations, Chairman Tang. Jiang Ruiqin and Song Nan politely smiled at Tang Bingson, but they actually only came to witness the upcoming drama. To be honest, they were quite looking forward to it. Thanks, Lord Jiang and Lord Song. Please enjoy yourself today, Tang Bingson said. Then he excused himself and walked away to welcome his other guests. We will. Jiang Ruiqin and Song Nan saw him leaving. However, Tang Qingyang stopped him at this moment. Uncle Tang, where is Aining? Shouldn't she come back to attend Yashin's wedding? Although they're half-sisters, they're a family after all. Tang Qingyang asked Tang Bingsun. Hearing that, Tang Bingsun changed his expression. To his astonishment, Tang Qingyang mentioned Tang Aining at Tang Yashin's wedding. Tang Qingyang did that on purpose. He knew that Tang Aining was already dead, and that she was killed by Qi Ziyue and Tang Yashin. Nevertheless, Tang Bingsun kept it a secret, so he didn't know that Tang Qingyang deliberately did that. Oh, does Chairman Tang have another daughter? A guest asked in surprise. Chairman Lu followed up at once. Half-sisters? Does it mean that Chairman Tang has married twice? Not many people were aware of Tang Bingsun's first marriage. Chairman Lu, haven't you married twice too? It isn't something abnormal. My first wife passed away in a car accident, so I married my current wife afterwards, Tang Bingsun said in an unpleasant tone. Although Ji Yijing was a mistress, she married into the Tang family after Tang Aining's mother passed away. When Tang Bingsun argued with Chairman Lu, he gave Tang Qingyang a glance to tell him not to talk about it again. Chairman Lu had indeed married twice as well. His first wife divorced him when his family business was in a big crisis, but his family business recovered in a few years. His first wife tried to get him back, but he had already married his current wife. Besides, his first wife abandoned him when he was out of money and came back when he was rich again. It was impossible for him to accept her. In fact, Chairman Lu hated his first wife. Chairman Tang, you don't need to be so aggressive. I asked that question out of curiosity, because we only know that Yashin is your daughter, and we've always believed that she's your only daughter for so many years. Why did you keep your other daughter a secret? Chairman Lu said. You? Tang Bingsun was struck dumb for a second. Chairman Lu, it's my family affair, but I can tell you the reason now since you're curious about it. I have 2 daughters, but my older daughter has been staying abroad these years for her own business. She seldom comes back home, so not many people know about it. In that case, Chairman Lu had to close his mouth, but he didn't feel embarrassed at all. Tang Qingyang also dropped this topic, because it wasn't time for him to expose his grudge against Tang Bingsun now. He excused himself and left to chat with other guests. Tang Bingsun didn't think that Tang Qingyang could find out about Tang Aining's death, so he didn't think further about it. After that, Tang Qingyang walked towards his third uncle with Jiang Ruiqin and Song Nan. Tang Bingjiang didn't have many skills and never worked in the Tang organization. He held 15% shares and received a dividend every year, which was enough for him to live a luxurious life. He had no idea what Tang Bingsun had done to Tang Bingchao, so Tang Qingyang maintained a good relationship with his family. Tang Bingsun had schemed against Tang Bingchao instead of Tang Bingjiang because Tang Bingchao was too outstanding, and he was afraid that he might be replaced by his brother. Tang Bingjiang, however, was merely a chicken, so Tang Bingsun didn't bother to pay much attention to him. In order to get as much money as possible, Tang Bingsun didn't hesitate to make full use of his own daughter and murder his younger brother. He was really ruthless, because Tang Qingyang and his friends were always talking with other businessmen at the party. Those rich ladies didn't have chances to strike up a conversation with them and felt disappointed. When such good-looking and outstanding young men like Tang Qingyang and his friends showed up, those good-for-nothing rich second-generation heirs were overshadowed. People of the same interests gathered together, so they could only attract other useless young men who were just like them. Beautiful and smart rich ladies obviously disliked them. In fact, only naive young girls preferred the good-for-nothing, rich second-generation heirs, because they had tons of free time to do romantic things with them. After all, playboys knew nothing better than entertainment and spending money. Most girls couldn't reject romance, and they enjoyed it when their boyfriends stayed beside them all the time. However, when it came to a serious relationship, romance wasn't everything, nor was it the most important factor. Even though they were super rich when they were very young, they still needed to consider their future. Nobody could take care of them forever, and they had to learn to be independent. In addition, their family business faced fierce competition, so they would be left behind if they didn't work hard. Unfortunately, playboys only lived day to day. Tang Bingsun was displeased when he saw Tang Qingyang pleasantly talking with other successful businessmen. He didn't want Tang Qingyang to be as successful as him. He didn't want Tang Qingyang to have powerful connections like him either. Even though Tang Qingyang was very young, he was very outstanding and left a deep impression on many other influential figures. And although people of great power or wealth might not be willing to help Tang Qingyang climb up the social ladder, he still had potential to join their circle. Anyway, Tang Qingyang was a great threat in Tang Bingsen's eyes. Actually, compared with Tang Bingsen, who was a wily old fox, the present guests were more willing to get along with Tang Qingyang, who was a modest and energetic young man. A person's appearance told a lot about his personality, and Tang Bingsen had the face of an evil man. No matter how nice he pretended to be, his guests still could see through him. In another place, Gu Ning was well prepared and was about to set off. She put on some makeup to disguise herself so that no one could recognize her at the Tang family's party. The Tang family wouldn't let her get away with it after she ruined the party, so she had to be careful. Gu Ning was wearing a white t-shirt, a pair of jeans, and a pair of casual shoes today, and she tied her hair up into a ponytail, which was exactly the same look she had when she was killed in her previous incarnation. Because of Tang Aining's special job, she always dressed herself in a casual suit, but Gu Ning added a backpack today. Her face was also different, so she disguised herself as another Tang Aining. However, she would show up at the Tang family's party as the real Tang Aining, the older daughter of the Tang family. Although her face was different, she kept her memories. The Tang family's manor was located in a suburb near the Eastern District, and it occupied about 10,000 square meters. The manor was designed for planting flowers. Because Ji Yijing's only interest was flowers, so Tang Bingsen made this manor for her. Planting flowers could satisfy Ji Yijing's interest and make some money at the same time. The money was only enough for her to maintain this manor, so the Tang family didn't care about it at all. The large, beautiful house was decorated in European style and looked quite luxurious. There was a broad road at the opposite side of it, and a river lay farther ahead. When Gu Ning arrived at the manor, the wedding was about to begin. All the guests needed an invitation letter to enter the manor, so Tang Qingyang had prepared one for Gu Ning. With the invitation letter, Gu Ning successfully got into the manor. Once she walked near, many people were attracted to her, not because she was stunning, but because she came in a casual suit. It was a formal event after all, and the other guests all dressed themselves up. As a result, some rich ladies began to talk about her. "Look at that woman. Who is she? She looks poor and pathetic. Doesn't she have a formal dress? What's she doing here? No idea, but she's very pretty. Even though she's gorgeous, there are too many beautiful ladies at this party." None of them liked Gu Ning and her look, and some of them were even jealous of her beauty. These rich ladies always believed that they were better than other people, but they actually had bad manners. Tang Qingyang also noticed Gu Ning, but he failed to recognize her, so he didn't pay much attention to her. Tang Bingsen saw Gu Ning too, and remembered another person at first glance. He was very sure that this woman behaved exactly the same as Tang Aining did. However, Tang Aining was already dead, and this woman had a different face from her. Tang Bingsen panicked and turned his head away. He had too many guests today, and he couldn't remember all of their names, so he didn't know who the strange woman was. Gu Ning did nothing for the time being, because some guests were still absent. She walked aside and began to enjoy the wine and desserts. After a short while, some rich ladies walked towards Gu Ning curiously. "Hi, may I know your name? Why did you come to a formal event in a casual suit?" Rich Lady A asked. "Tang Aining. A formal dress is inconvenient," Gu Ning said in a plain tone. Those rich ladies hadn't heard of the name Tang Aining before, so they thought that she might be the Tang family's relative. Since she was the Tang family's relative, they didn't dare to be rude to her. "Are you the Tang family's relative?" Rich Lady B asked. "Yeah." Gu Ning nodded and seemed to be bothered. These rich ladies closed their mouths and walked away. The wedding was about to begin, so the host walked up to the stage. After a long opening speech, the bridegroom walked out. The moment he showed up, a lot of rich ladies were stunned by his outstanding appearance. "Wow, he's so handsome. I'm willing to marry such a good-looking man as well, even if he isn't rich." "I agree. I heard that he's excellent at work. I don't think he can attract Miss Tang with only his outstanding appearance. He must be super good in bed too. What? Shut up. Come on, we're all adults here. Don't pretend to be pure. It's a public place. After the bridegroom was on the stage, he began to confess his love towards the bride. Guning sat under the stage and felt like it sounded quite ironic. Every guest probably thought that Qi Ziyue married Tang Yashin for money, but actually Qi Ziyue also had his own plan to take revenge. To take revenge was the original reason why he approached Tang Yashin. Guning didn't know that until this morning, but she wasn't sure whether it was true or not, because it could be a lie that Qi Ziyue told the girl in the car. No matter what, Guning was determined to take action today. After the bridegroom's confession, the bride slowly walked towards the stage holding her father's arm. Everyone was stunned again when the bride appeared. Wow! She's so beautiful. The bride is the most beautiful woman at the wedding. Well, I don't think every bride could be as beautiful as her. When Tang Yashin walked towards Qi Ziyue with her hand in her father's elbow, she beamed with happiness. This was the happiest moment in her life. She really loved Qi Ziyue and couldn't wait to marry him. Qi Ziyue, on the contrary, didn't feel happy at all at this moment. He was simply excited because he finally married Tang Yashin, which was a big step forward according to his plan. However, what he didn't know was that his wedding with Tang Yashin was soon going to be ruined. Right when the host was about to say something again as Tang Bingsen and Tang Yashin reached the stage, Guning walked out from among the guests. She quickly walked to the stage without hesitation. Everyone was confused and didn't understand what she was doing. What's she doing? No idea. I think something unpleasant is going to happen. Guning indeed came to ruin Qi Ziyue and Tang Yashin's wedding. Although she didn't look like Tang Aining now, Tang Aining's soul was in her body. Once those reporters sensed that something unusual was going to happen, they turned their cameras to point at Guning. Tang Qingyang's sight fell on Guning with a calm expression, because he knew that this woman must have been arranged by Guning. He sat still on his seat and waited to see the unfolding drama. Jiang Ruiqin and Song Nan were aware of it as well, so they got excited. Qingyang, are you sure it's fine? Jiang Ruiqin asked Tang Qingyang in a low voice. Of course, Tang Qingyang said with certainty. Tang Qingyang didn't tell them many details, but they chose to believe him. They were Tang Qingyang's good friends after all, so they supported him. As Guning walked to the stage, Qi Ziyue saw her and rounded his eyes in shock. He recognized Tang Aining, but didn't know what she was going to do at his wedding. Nevertheless, it was quite obvious that she came for nothing good. Qi Ziyue remembered that she kept some of Tang Aining's stuff in her hands and began to be worried about it. He had searched for her for a long time in vain, but now she appeared again out of blue. Seeing Qi Ziyue's reaction and the other guests' discussion, Tang Bingsen and Tang Yashin were annoyed. Ji Yijing also noticed Guning's abnormal behavior and frowned worriedly. Tang Yashin had the same reaction as Qi Ziyue. She was nervous and terrified. What are you doing here? Hearing that, the other guests were sure that they weren't strangers. To attend your wedding. There was an evil smile on Guning's lips. I think you simply want to ruin my wedding. Where are the security guards? Get her out now. Tang Yashin shouted. Security guards who stood around them ran over at once. Wait a second. Guning stopped them. Who are you? What do you want to do? Ji Yijing glared at Guning. Ji Yijing thought that Guning must be Qi Ziyue's woman, and she felt angry for her daughter. She knew that it was hard for men, especially rich men, to stay loyal to their partner, but it was unacceptable in her eyes when it happened to her own daughter. Qi Ziyue was struck dumb by the scene and didn't know what to do now. He wanted to explain it, but Guning interrupted him. Ji, don't be nervous. We're a family, and please allow me to introduce myself now. My name's Tang Aining, the older daughter of the Tang family. Yashin is my half-sister, and I came back home simply to give her my best wishes at her wedding. Why do you want to catch me? Guning said and looked innocent. What? Everyone was shocked when they heard it. Not many of them knew that Tang Bingsen had another daughter. At the same time, they felt it was very strange. Since this woman was the older daughter of the Tang family, why couldn't members of the Tang family recognize her? Tang Bingsen and Ji Yijing, however, were in a sheer panic now. They absolutely didn't believe that this woman standing in front of them was really Tang Aining, because Tang Aining was already dead. In that case, this woman must have disguised herself as Tang Aining. Anyway, it was a sign of great danger that she showed up out of blue. Tang Bingsen slightly clenched his fists. Reporters turned to ask Tang Bingsen right away, "Chairman Tang, is this woman really your older daughter?" Tang Bingsen, however, directly ignored those reporters and glared straight at Gu Ning. "Who are you? Why did you disguise yourself as my daughter? My daughter looks totally different from you." He was worried that this woman would say or do something to hurt the Tang family in public. Unfortunately, he couldn't throw her out at this moment in case his guests thought that he was really guilty. Is she crazy or something? If she's really the older daughter of the Tang family, the other members of the Tang family would have recognized her the second she showed up. Why did she disguise herself as Lady Tang? I thought that she's the Tang family's relative. Dad, catch her right now, Tang Yashin said anxiously. If this woman didn't disappear right now, her wedding could be ruined. Do you think several security guards are able to catch me? Did you already forget the lesson I taught you? Gu Ning stared at Tang Yashin. You? Tang Yashin was scared. She didn't forget what Gu Ning had done to her, and she clearly knew that she was no match for Gu Ning. Other guests got curious when they found that Tang Yashin was eager to chase Gu Ning out. There must be something the Tang family didn't want other people to know. All of them came from super rich or powerful families, and they knew that many of them had dirty secrets. During these years, they believed that Tang Yashin was the only daughter and heir of the Tang family, unless Tang Bingsen had an illegitimate son. Nobody knew whether Tang Yashin really had an illegitimate son, but some had this suspicion. Miss, you claim that you're the older daughter of the Tang family, but Chairman Tang just denied it. Which one of you is telling the truth? A reporter turned to ask Gu Ning questions. My face is indeed different, because I had an accident last year. My face was disfigured, so I had plastic surgery, Gu Ning calmly said. No one believed it except Tang Bingsen, because he saw Tang Aining's body being burned with his own eyes. If this woman was Tang Aining, the girl whose body was burned into ashes would be another woman. Thinking of that, Tang Bingsen felt frightened. An idea dawned on him that Tang Aining could still be alive. He refused to believe it, but he didn't know how to explain it right now. Qi Ziyue and Tang Yashin had the same thought. They were worried that Tang Aining might have survived and came back to get revenge on them today. Tang Aining was an extraordinarily outstanding killer, and it was possible that she didn't die after jumping into the sea. What? Is she really the older daughter of the Tang family? I can't believe it. It's too shocking. I don't believe it. Do you have any proof to prove that you're Aining? Tang Bingsen forced himself to stay calm. However, he was still worried that Gu Ning might expose his family's dirty secrets. Well, I still have my memories. If you don't mind, I can share some stories with you, Gu Ning said. Hearing that, Tang Bingsen trembled in fear. Nonsense. We know what's true or not, but our guests don't. What if you make up something to slander our family and the rumor goes abroad? Today's Yashin's wedding, and we can talk about you later if you insist, Tang Bingsen said. Why? Can't I attend my younger sister's wedding? Gu Ning pulled her lips. We aren't sure who you are right now, so we can't allow you to stay here, Tang Bingsen said. You can make sure of it right now. It won't cost you much time, Gu Ning said. You? Tang Bingsen was mad and lost patience. I know you simply want to ruin my daughter's wedding. Get her out now. He gave an order to the group of security guards at once. For security guards moved without delay. Seeing that, those reporters all stepped backwards in case they were hurt. To their surprise, Gu Ning didn't hesitate and beat the security guards up within seconds. It was super easy for her to get rid of them. Everyone was shocked by the scene when the 4 security guards shouted in pain on the ground. They all moved away from Gu Ning in case they were injured by accident in the violent fight. Tang Bingsen wasn't surprised, because he knew that this woman wasn't weak. Tell my bodyguards to catch her now. He gave another order. He had to catch Gu Ning as soon as possible. Tang Bingsen always went out with his bodyguards, who were strong and skilled at fighting. He wouldn't tell them to have a fight unless it was necessary. But now he was left no choice. The next second, 10 bodyguards surrounded Gu Ning. Onlookers stayed far away from them and began to gossip about it. Do you think this woman can defeat these bodyguards? I don't think she can. There are 10 strong bodyguards in all. Well, I have to admit that she's really awesome. I don't think I can easily beat 2 security guards up in such a short time. Is it true that she's the older daughter of the Tang family? No idea, but I think it's highly possible, because the members of the Tang family looked very nervous when she showed up, right? Especially Tang Yashin. Why didn't Chairman Tang allow the woman to prove her identity? All the guests were from the high society, and they weren't dumb, so they knew that the Tang family was hiding something on purpose when the members of the Tang family all panicked when Gu Ning argued with them. Those bodyguards began to attack Gu Ning when she was surrounded. Unfortunately, even though every one of them was excellent at fighting, they were still no match for Gu Ning. Gu Ning quickly kicked the first bodyguard down when he tried to punch her. Without delay, she directly threw the second bodyguard over her shoulder. As for the following bodyguards, Gu Ning dislocated either their arms or legs. Even though it was a violent fight, it was the Tang family's trouble, and other guests enjoyed watching the drama. It was rare to see a young girl beat a group of strong men up within minutes, and it was quite exciting, because not every guest had a good relationship with Tang Bingsen. Some of them even gloated over his embarrassment. After several minutes, all 10 of the bodyguards were beaten to the ground by Gu Ning. They kept moaning in pain and couldn't get back to their feet. The onlookers were all shocked. Jesus, she's so unbelievable. Are these men too weak? Or is she too strong? She must be a kung fu master. I agree. Although they knew that Gu Ning wasn't a weak girl, Tang Bingsen was still angry when he saw that his bodyguards were useless. Call the police, Tang Bingsen shouted again. Hearing that, someone took out his phone to call the police at once. Great. I have something to hand to the police as well, Gu Ning said. All the other guests were curious about what Gu Ning would give to the police, so they waited to see what was going to happen. Qi Ziyue, however, panicked and stopped them right away. Don't call the police. He thought of the USB flash disk in Gu Ning's hands. His reaction made the audience sure that Gu Ning must have something on the Tang family. Miss Tang, may I know what you plan to give to the police later? A reporter seized this chance and asked Gu Ning. Tang Bingsen refused to give Gu Ning any chance to answer that question and said, Today's wedding is cancelled for the time being. I'm sorry, everyone, and you can leave right now. It was impossible for the wedding to continue at this moment, so Tang Bingsen told his guests to leave as soon as possible. The majority of the guests were unwilling to offend the Tang family, so they walked away in order not to embarrass Tang Bingsen. Those reporters weren't the paparazzi, and they had their moral standards, so they were ready to leave too. The best part of today's drama is yet to come. Don't rush to leave, Gu Ning suddenly said to the crowd. The next second, she took out a thick pile of photos from her backpack and threw them towards the crowd. Tang Bingsen and his family were scared and tried to stop her, but it was too late. What are these? No idea. Let's have a look. Oh my God. When people looked at those photos Gu Ning threw to them, they were all stunned. Those photos were nude pictures of Tang Yashin and Qi Ziyue having sex with different men and women. Although their faces weren't quite clear in each piece of the photos, it wasn't hard to recognize them. Tang Yashin had no idea that those men she used to have sex with would have a video recording of their sexual intercourse. Actually, Gu Ning also had videos in her hands. Oh my eyes! I thought that the bride and the bridegroom were in love. I can't believe it. Both of them live a decadent life. It's disgusting. Most men didn't have strong emotions because they were happy to talk about sex. Most women, on the other hand, felt disgusted. Even though they had sex too, it was embarrassing when the nude pictures went public. Tang Qingyang and Jiang Ruiqin also picked up several photos, and they were disgusted too. Ew, it's gross. Saying that, Jiang Ruiqin threw the photos away. Tang Qingyang didn't know what Gu Ning had on Qi Ziyue and Tang Yashin until now. Thinking about how Gu Ning had seen these photos before she came to today's wedding, Tang Qingyang felt uncomfortable. Gu Ning was already an adult and she also had a boyfriend, but it was still quite embarrassing. Actually, when Gu Ning got these photos, she felt shocked and awkward as well. If it was possible, she didn't want to see these photos either, but she had to print and see the evidence herself. What was worse, two of the men in the nude photos with Tang Yashin were present at today's wedding. They were astonished and scared the moment they saw their faces in the photos. These photos were taken from the sex tapes they secretly recorded without Tang Yashin knowing. They were astonished because they didn't know how the pictures were leaked. The two of them were eager to leave now, but they were afraid that they might be discovered if they did that, so they could only lower their heads to make themselves as unnoticeable as possible. Don't look at these photos. Tang Bingjiang grabbed the photos away from his children's hands. Some kids at the wedding also had some nude photos in their hands, but their parents stopped them from looking at the photos. Tang Bingjiang's family was also a part of the Tang family, and felt humiliated too. Those photos weren't thrown towards Tang Bingsen and his family, so they didn't see them, but they knew that it must be a terrible thing given the guests' reaction. The reporters were busy taking those photos away, and depending on what happened later, they would either report this shocking news or not. In fact, even if they didn't report this news, it would still go viral on the internet, because Gu Ning wasn't afraid of the Tang family at all. Anyway, Tang Yashin and Qi Ziyue's reputations were totally ruined. Mr. Qi, since you're going to marry Miss Tang, why do you still keep a sexual relationship with other women? Mr. Qi, does it mean that you don't love Miss Tang? Why are you marrying her? Do you want to steal the Tang family's property through your marriage? The reporters bombarded him with questions, and Qi Ziyue changed his expression at once. His nude photos with other women were exposed now, so it was impossible for him to marry Tang Yashin after that. At the same time, he still couldn't figure out how Gu Ning managed to get those photos. Both Tang Yashin and Qi Ziyue felt quite humiliated. Tang Bingsen couldn't stay calm any longer. He grabbed some photos from other guests and was full of anger when he saw them. As a rich man, he was aware that almost every rich man had mistresses. However, he thought that Qi Ziyue should keep it a secret from other people. Tang Yashin and Ji Yijing also saw those photos. Tang Yashin didn't believe that Qi Ziyue would betray her, although she was playing around as well. It was unacceptable in her eyes. Tang Yashin married Qi Ziyue because she really loved him, but it was an undeniable truth that she was in a much higher social position than him. She was better than him and she could do whatever she wanted, but Qi Ziyue couldn't. After all, without her help, Qi Ziyue wouldn't have what he had right now. Ji Yijing was furious and slapped Qi Ziyue. Qi Ziyue was still in shock, so he failed to avoid it. Actually, he didn't dare to avoid it either. With a loud sound, a heavy slap fell on Qi Ziyue's face. Ji Yijing shouted at him in great anger. Qi Ziyue, how dare you do that to my daughter? Ji Yijing only saw nude photos of Qi Ziyue having sex with other women. She didn't see the pictures of her daughter having threesome with other men. Compared with what Tang Yashin had done, Qi Ziyue's behavior wasn't worse. Mrs. Tang, I don't think you should have a double standard at this moment. Look at what your daughter has done with other men in these pictures. A rich woman showed Ji Yijing a nude picture of Tang Yashin having sex with two men. Ji Yijing actually wasn't in the position to judge other people given her own daughter's immoral behavior. In fact, Ji Yijing had no idea what Tang Yashin was doing behind her back. Even though she knew her daughter very well as a mother, she couldn't believe that her daughter would have such a sex life. As a result, she was totally shocked. Some people who didn't see the nude pictures of Tang Yashin having sex with two men at the same time were also greatly surprised. In their eyes, Tang Yashin always looked gentle and well-behaved. None of them could believe that a beautiful girl from a super-rich family would do something like that. What? Ji Yijing refused to accept it and even argued in anger. Bullshit. My daughter will never do something like that. She didn't realize that the photos were the most solid evidence. Tang Yashin was struck dumb at this moment and didn't know how to defend herself. Tang Bingsen turned to look at his daughter with great surprise in his eyes. The way Tang Yashin lived her sex life was completely unacceptable in his eyes. Unfortunately, it was the undeniable truth, and he had to face it. Qi Ziyue was furious as well. He knew that she didn't have loyalty towards him either, and he turned a blind eye on it in order to marry into the Tang family. However, to his astonishment, Tang Yashin behaved in a much more uncontrolled way than him. Look at this picture yourself. The woman gave Ji Yijing the nude picture. Ji Yijing didn't want to believe it, but she still took the photo. Now, she couldn't deny it at all, because she was very familiar with Tang Yashin's face. However, even though Ji Yijing saw the picture with her own eyes, it was still very hard for her to accept it. It would be fine if nobody found out, but the nude pictures were exposed now. Mrs. Tang, you have a good daughter. Does your daughter learn it from you? The woman disliked Ji Yijing, so purposely said that. She definitely didn't know what Ji Yijing would do behind their backs, so she said that to humiliate her. How dare you? Ji Yijing was ablaze with fury. She knew that the woman purposely said that to annoy her, but she lost her temper. Not because she felt innocent, on the contrary, she felt a little guilty. Why are you so mad at me? I was just kidding, the woman said with a smile. The next second, reporters surrounded Tang Yashin and asked her, Miss Tang, if both you and Mr. Chi are playing around with other men and women, why do you want to be married? Nobody believed that they loved each other now, because they had no respect or loyalty towards one another. Before Tang Yashin said anything, Tang Bingsun ran ahead and slapped her across the face heavily. Tang Bingsun felt quite humiliated and also wanted to shut Tang Yashin's mouth. If she said anything inappropriate right now, it would be more tricky for them to handle the situation. Both the reporters and Ji Yijing were scared by his heavy slap. The reporters understood that he was very angry and also wanted to stop them from asking Tang Yashin questions. Actually, given the Tang family's influence, they didn't dare to expose many of its dirty secrets. Therefore, they remained quiet after Tang Bingsun's slap. Ji Yijing, however, snapped at Tang Bingsun. What are you doing? She ran to Tang Yashin and protected her with her arms. Although Tang Yashin's behavior was unacceptable, Tang Yashin was her daughter after all. Besides, she wasn't loyal to her husband either, so she didn't think it was a big deal. In fact, if Tang Bingsun found out that Ji Yijing had a sexual relationship with other men, he would probably kill her. No matter how he indulged himself in sex, he couldn't tolerate it when his wife betrayed him as well. He was selfish and had double standards. Look at your good daughter, and look at what she has done, Tang Bingsun shouted at Ji Yijing. Actually, he didn't care much about his daughter's life, and he only cared about the Tang family's reputation. Ji Yijing wanted to defend her daughter, but still said nothing. She felt heartbroken when Tang Yashin was humiliated in public, but she knew that she had to stay quiet at this moment, or her own dirty secret might be exposed. Why? How is it possible? Tang Yashin couldn't believe there would be nude pictures of she having sex with other men. They had sex in a room with tight security, and she had never agreed to take such photos before. How is it possible? Don't you know what you've done yourself? Tang Bingsun questioned Tang Yashin in anger. Qi Ziyue was also angry now, but he wasn't in the position to criticize Tang Yashin, because he wasn't a loyal partner either. He should blame the woman who caused this big trouble for it. Qi Ziyue turned to glare at Guning and couldn't wait to beat her, but he didn't dare to do that, because he knew that he was too weak in front of her. No matter how unwilling he was to accept it, he could do nothing about it. Guning enjoyed it when she saw him clenching his teeth glaring at her, but could do nothing at all. Tang Yashin, however, couldn't stay as calm as Qi Ziyue. She hated Guning to death at this moment. If Guning didn't throw those nude pictures to the guests, she could keep her dirty secret from other people forever. Thinking of that, Tang Yashin abruptly pushed Ji Yijing away and ran to Guning. I'll kill you. However, Tang Yashin was wearing a long and heavy wedding gown, so she stumbled and fell on the ground after running for just a few steps. Ha ha, ha ha. Some people burst into laughter because it was ridiculously funny, but they shut their mouths the next second in case the Tang family was annoyed. Most of the present guests had a close relationship with the Tang family in business or politics, so they were unwilling to offend them. Although some guests wanted to leave now because it was super embarrassing and they didn't want to see the drama any longer, they couldn't think of a good excuse to tell Tang Bingsun. As a result, they had to stand there and hoped that the wedding could end as soon as possible. Yashin, Ji Yijing was frightened and went to help Tang Yashin get back on her feet. Then she questioned Gu Ning. What the hell do you want to do? I am doing what I want to do right now. Gu Ning calmly smiled at Ji Yijing. Actually, there was more Gu Ning wanted to do today, and it was just the beginning now. You? Ji Yijing was furious but didn't know what to say now. This woman ruined her daughter's wedding and future. It was impossible for Tang Yashin to live a normal life from now on. She knew that this woman did it because of Tang Aining, but she didn't understand why this woman had to do that since Tang Aining was already dead. In fact, although Tang Aining was dead, her soul wasn't. They had caused Tang Aining's death, so they should pay for it. Tang Yashin was reluctant to accept the result, and suddenly had an idea. Those photos aren't real. They're edited, and I've never done something like that before. Hearing that, some believed it while some still had doubt. It wasn't uncommon that some people used edited photos to scheme against their enemies. Most importantly, not everyone at the wedding was able to see the nude pictures. Right, they're edited. They're definitely edited. She's an evil woman, and she did that on purpose to frame Yashin. Ji Yijing defended Tang Yashin at once. As long as everyone believed that those photos were edited, Tang Yashin would be safe. However, Ji Yijing would only be disappointed. Edited? Tang Yashin, you don't have the chance to see the photos yet, but you're quite eager to deny them. Do you feel guilty now? Are you in a panic at this moment? Gu Ning smiled. By the way, I also have videos in my hands. If you don't mind, I can play a video right now in front of everyone. There was a whole set of projection equipment at the wedding, which was used to project the wedding pictures of the bride and the bridegroom. Gu Ning used to have the idea to directly play the video at the wedding, but it wasn't easy because it could be stopped at any second. Therefore, Gu Ning used pictures instead, which was much more convenient. The reality proved that pictures were indeed very convenient. Tang Yashin was stunned. She had no idea what to do now. At this time, a reporter asked Gu Ning, Miss Tang, since you told us that you're the older daughter of the Tang family, why do you want to embarrass the Tang family at Tang Yashin's wedding? It was obvious that they didn't get along with each other at all. Because Gu Ning pulled her lips, but Tang Bingsen interrupted her when she was about to say another word. All right, it's enough today. Please give us some time and space to deal with our family affair. We'll have a party another day. Tang Bingsen wouldn't allow Gu Ning to badly humiliate his family again. After that, Tang Bingsen told his secretary and other staff to walk his guests out. Since Tang Bingsen said that the guests had to leave, some of them couldn't wait to leave the wedding, and they didn't hesitate to walk out once Tang Bingsen said that. Although some still wanted to stay to watch the drama, they had to leave for the sake of Tang Bingsen. Gu Ning didn't bother to stop them this time, but she took out a loudspeaker and played a voice recording. Even if I'm married, we can still be together, but we can't meet often. Hearing that, Qi Ziyue trembled in fear, because he knew it was what he had said last night. Gu Ning had a voice recording of his conversation with another girl. In addition to Qi Ziyue himself, Tang Bingsen, Tang Yashin, and Ji Yijing were most familiar with him at the wedding, so they recognized his voice at the first second. It was obvious that he was talking with another woman before his wedding with Tang Yashin. All the guests stopped as well. Don't worry, I already told you that I don't like Tang Yashin at all, and I'm only marrying her to steal the Tang family's property and take my revenge. At this moment, everyone turned to look at Qi Ziyue in shock. Qi Ziyue only married Tang Yashin to steal the Tang family's property and take his revenge. He didn't love Tang Yashin at all. Knowing that, even Tang Bingsen and Tang Yashin were stunned. Qi Ziyue got his mind back and ran towards Gu Ning, trying to grab the loudspeaker away, but Gu Ning easily avoided him. Qi Ziyue failed to stop her, and the voice recording continued to be played out loud. Once I finish that, I'll divorce her and marry you. Gu Ning smiled at Qi Ziyue, and enjoyed it when he almost had a mental breakdown. You? Qi Ziyue glared at Gu Ning and ached to tear her to pieces. He almost lost control of himself, but his reason told him that he was no match for Gu Ning. Qi Ziyue, good for you? Tang Bingsen pointed at Qi Ziyue with a finger, which was trembling in anger. In fact, Tang Bingsen wanted to know what the Tang family had done to Qi Ziyue that made him want to take revenge. But he couldn't ask right now. Tang Bingsen clearly knew that he had countless enemies, so he wasn't very surprised that Qi Ziyue was one of them. Tang Yashin was struck dumb after hearing the voice recording. She couldn't believe that Qi Ziyu married her in order to divorce her one day in the future. It was fine if he only cheated on her because she did the same thing. Actually, if he promised that he would never do it again, she would forgive him and still happily marry him. They already had the legal marriage certificate and she really loved him, but now everything was ruined. Qi Ziyue, you're a jerk. How could you do that to Yashin? Ji Yijing went crazy and hit Qi Ziyue with full force. Qi Ziyue wasn't in the mood to argue with Ji Yijing and he didn't avoid her on time. Ji Yijing's sharp nails scratched his face and he took a breath in pain. He didn't fight back, but simply moved away. Tang Yashin couldn't accept it any longer, and suddenly collapsed to the ground. Yashin! Ji Yijing turned to check Tang Yashin at once, and left Qi Ziyue behind. Tang Bingsen was full of anger, but he had to take care of his daughter, so he called the ambulance right away. At the same time, he also gave an order. Catch Qi Ziyue right now and take him away. If Qi Ziyue stayed here, he would say something to humiliate his family in public. Given what had happened, it was impossible for him to let Qi Ziyue get away with it. No matter what, he couldn't trust Qi Ziyue now. Although he was confident that Qi Ziyue didn't have anything on him or his company, he still needed to be careful. He wouldn't kill Qi Ziyue, because it would only cause him more trouble. However, he could do something else to punish Qi Ziyue as long as Qi Ziyue stayed alive. 2 bodyguards stood out without delay and went to catch Qi Ziyue. Qi Ziyue was reluctant to be caught by them. He wouldn't be safe if Tang Bingsen caught him after his scheme was exposed. Therefore, he ran away without hesitation. As long as he was able to run away, he could have a second chance. Compared with ordinary people, Qi Ziyue had learned some fighting skills, so he hid himself in the crowd and successfully got rid of those bodyguards. Even though there were many guests at the place, nobody was willing to be involved in this drama, so no one helped Tang Bingsen catch him. And those bodyguards were afraid to hurt innocent guests, so they had to move gently. Tang Bingsen was displeased about it, but he couldn't criticize other people. Guning also had the intention to let Qi Ziyue run away, so she didn't bother to stop him. She had already achieved her goal today, so she should leave too. When Tang Bingsen lost sight of Qi Ziyue, he turned around and found that Guning was also gone. He was furious the second he realized that. "Get the woman back now!" he shouted. But he had a feeling that it was meaningless. Guning appeared and disappeared out of blue, and nobody could catch her. However, even though Tang Bingsen was aware that it was hard to find them, he had to catch them as soon as he could. If he couldn't catch them, they could do more things to hurt his family's reputation and interests. As for Qi Ziyue, Tang Bingsen had confidence to find him, because Qi Ziyue wasn't as troublesome as Guning. At this moment, Tang Bingsen had no mood to say goodbye to his guests, so he told his people to do that for him. As a member of the Tang family, Tang Qingyang couldn't leave right away. He was supposed to stay and comfort his relatives. "Let's celebrate in my place tonight," Song Nan said before he left Tang Qingyang. Although it was nothing compared with Tang Qingyang's plan, they still felt happy when Tang Bingsen was humiliated in public. "Sure," Tang Qingyang agreed. Tang Bingjiang's family also stayed. Tang Bingjiang didn't walk to Tang Bingsen until all the other guests were gone. "Bingsen, it's fine, we can find them." Tang Bingjiang didn't know much about Guning, so he believed that it was very easy for the Tang family to catch her and Qi Ziyue. However, it was super hard in Tang Bingsen's eyes. Guning wasn't a common woman. She was a strong enemy. Tang Bingjiang knew nothing about its complexity, but Tang Bingsen didn't bother to explain it right now. Although Tang Bingsen was angry and impatient, he didn't vent his anger on Tang Bingjiang and told his family to go home earlier. Tang Bingjiang listened to him and left with his family. Tang Qingyang also walked out. When Qi Ziyue ran to the parking lot, he quickly got into his car and drove it away. Those bodyguards who were chasing him also got in a car. Guning took a taxi instead, because nobody paid much attention to her on her way out. It was just the beginning of her revenge. and she was in a very good mood now. She sent Kay a message and told him to focus on the direction in which Chi Ziyue escaped. She didn't chase Chi Ziyue right now, but decided to meet him after Kay found where he stopped and stayed after escaping. At the same time, she needed to know the ward and the hospital that Tang Yashin was admitted to. Gu Ning told Kay to upload the sex photos onto the internet. Whether the reporters would do it or not, she wouldn't hesitate to spread it abroad. Kay was a top hacker, so it was impossible for Tang Bingsen to find him. Since they were determined to make it a piece of big news, Kay wouldn't simply upload those nude pictures to the internet. He needed to make it one of the hottest topics in social media. Internet users were quite interested in scandals, so it would undoubtedly go viral within a short time. Exclusive. A shocking scandal erupted at the Tang family's wedding in the capital. There are many nude pictures of the bride and the bridegroom everywhere. Those photos of Chi Ziyue and Tang Yashin having sex with other men and women were attached to the news, but some parts of their bodies were pixelated. The content of the news mainly introduced the story that happened at Chi Ziyue and Tang Yashin's wedding today. Because of the Tang family's influence, many entertainment influencers on Weibo reposted the news at once. Within minutes, it became the top of the hottest topics on Weibo, and more internet users were attracted to this shocking scandal. Oh my eyes! It's disgusting. I'm eating, and now I've lost my appetite. Since they're playing around with other men and women behind each other's back. They aren't in love at all. Why do they still want to get married? For wealth and more benefits, of course. I don't understand the rich people's world. After reading the content, internet users began to talk about Chi Ziyue's aim. Chi Ziyue married Tang Yashin simply to steal the Tang family's property and take his revenge. It's shameless. He's an evil man, and he has no loyalty towards his partner. But why is Tang Yashin willing to marry him? I think she's cheating on him as well. Neither of them is loyal. Betrayal is so common nowadays. Some internet users also noticed the appearance of Tang Aining at the wedding. Wow! Tang Bingsen has another daughter. Is she his older daughter? Why is he hiding his older daughter from the public? Everyone only knows that Tang Yashin is the heir of the Tang family. But now it seems different. I think Tang Bingsen doesn't like his older daughter. It's so complicated. No matter what, Chi Ziyue and Tang Yashin are so disgusting. Although onlookers didn't know the truth about the Tang family's internal conflict, most people had an impression that Tang Bingsen disliked his older daughter. At the same time, almost everyone felt disgusted by Chi Ziyue's and Tang Yashin's sex photos. Although betrayal wasn't uncommon now, it was different when it was exposed to the public. Tang Bingsen was furious again when he saw the news. He knew his guests wouldn't do that, so it must have been done by Gu Ning, but either way, his family was in a big crisis right now. He told the PR department of his company to deal with it right away, but unfortunately it only got more and more attention on the internet. Gu Ning removed her disguise and went to meet Tang Qingyang in the afternoon. Tang Qingyang would be seeing his friends in Song Nan's place later that night, so he shared dinner with Gu Ning. However, he didn't go to see her alone, because Ba Tianyang stayed by his side. Ba Tianyang was absent at the wedding today, and only came to pick Tang Qingyang up when the drama was over. Tang Qingyang booked a private room at Huangdang Hotel, not because he liked it, but because he knew that it was owned by Gu Ning's family. When Gu Ning came, Tang Qingyang and Ba Tianyang were already waiting for her. Because Tang Qingyang didn't know that Tang Aining was Gu Ning, he shared the big news with Gu Ning during the meal. Gu Ning had no intention to tell him that she was Tang Aining, so she laughed as well when Tang Qingyang shared the story with her. Oh, what should we do about Chi Ziyue? He ran away today, Tang Qingyang asked. From his perspective, he had no grudge against Chi Ziyue, but Gu Ning had. Although he wasn't close to Tang Aining, his older cousin, and they had only met each other once before, he had deep sympathy for her. Don't worry, I'm keeping an eye on him. He can't get away, Gu Ning said. Hearing that, Tang Qingyang was relieved. After dinner, Tang Qingyang invited Gu Ning to come to his party with his friends, and said that she could bring her friends too. When Tang Qingyang mentioned Su Qinin, he felt a little nervous, and Gu Ning caught his expression. She sensed that there was something different between them and got curious, but she stayed calm on the surface and called Su Qin-yin. Su Qin-yin agreed once she heard that Tang Qingyang would be at the party too, which made Gu Ning believe that they indeed had a special relationship. Anyway, it wasn't a bad thing because they would be a good match together. Even though Tang Qingyang wasn't as rich as the Su family, he was a very successful young businessman. Most importantly, he was a well-educated gentleman and would treat Su Qin-yin very well. The Tang organization would be his sooner or later, then he could be richer than the Su family. Both Tang Qingyang and Su Qin-yin were good friends of hers, so she truly hoped that they could find love. Gu Ning would be going to Song Nan's bar later to meet them, but she still needed to see Qi Ziyue before that. Therefore, she told Tang Qingyang that she would meet them later. After a while, Gu Ning received a message from K. He told Gu Ning which hospital Tang Yashin was in and the place that Qi Ziyue stopped running. Tang Yashin wasn't in a good condition now, so the doctor told her to stay in the hospital for a few more days. And Qi Ziyue hid in a house in a suburb in the northern district. Qi Ziyue was smart and knew that it would be easy for the Tang family to find him if he was in a car all the time. As long as he drove on a main road, he would expose himself to the surveillance cameras. So once he got rid of the Tang family's bodyguards, he drove to an isolated place and abandoned the car. Even if the bodyguards could find his car, he would already be gone. And because it was an isolated place, there were no surveillance cameras around. Even Kay had to pay attention to every exit of the isolated place in order to find Qi Ziyue, because once he left the isolated place, he would be spotted by surveillance cameras. Because Qi Ziyue was unfamiliar with the surroundings, he randomly chose a direction and walked. He walked for a long time before finally arriving at a village. There were surveillance cameras everywhere in the village, so Kay easily found Qi Ziyue. Qi Ziyue went to a clothing store and immediately changed his clothes. He also put on a baseball cap to hide his face before he left. Afterwards, he took a taxi to his destination. The house that Qi Ziyue went to wasn't owned by him. It was under another person's name, but Kay still successfully found Qi Ziyue in the end. It was 6:30 p.m. when Qi Ziyue walked into the house, and there was no one else inside. He took out bottles of alcohol to drink, which was the only thing he could do now. What had happened earlier today totally ruined his current plan, so he didn't know what to do next. A woman entered the house at 7:30 p.m. She was precisely the girl who had sex with Qi Ziyue last night, and her name was Chen Yunlin. Chen Yunlin was about 25 this year, and she was even prettier than Tang Yashin. Actually, Qi Ziyue and Chen Yunlin knew each other from a very young age, and were childhood sweethearts to some extent. Their fathers were close friends, and they were each other's first love. When they became boyfriend and girlfriend, Qi Ziyue was 20, while Chen Yunlin was only 16. At that time, Qi Ziyue's family was still very rich. However, his father accidentally offended Tang Bingsun, so Tang Bingsun made his family's company go bankrupt later. His father couldn't accept it and committed suicide by jumping from a tall building. His mother got sick as well and passed away afterwards. When Qi Ziyue was 23, he lost his parents. Even though his family lost their wealth and influence, Chen Yunlin didn't abandon him, but Qi Ziyue was determined to take revenge and he didn't want Chen Yunlin to be involved in it. So he still broke up with her. After breaking up with each other, they didn't meet again. When they saw one another again, it was 6 years later and about a year ago. They took each other as old friends and simply wanted to share a meal, but unexpectedly they fell in love once more. Maybe it was because Chen Yunlin was his first girl, but Qi Ziyue couldn't forget her and always missed their happy past. If his family hadn't been ruined by Tang Bingsun, they could have been married a long time ago. Although Chen Yunlin was aware that Qi Ziyue was going to marry Tang Yashin in order to take his revenge, she was still willing to wait for him. She waited for him till now. When Chen Yunlin saw a man in the living room, she was scared and thought that he must be a thief and wanted to run away at once. Qi Ziyue noticed her and said, "Yunlin." Chen Yunlin recognized his voice and stopped in surprise. After that, she walked towards him. "Ziyue? What are you doing here? Isn't today your wedding day?" Chen Yunlin didn't think that Qi Ziyue would give up marrying Tang Yashin for her, so something terrible must have happened. "My wedding day?" Qi Ziyue snorted with laughter and felt sad. "It's ruined. Everything is ruined. He filled his mouth and throat with alcohol again. What? It's ruined? Ziyue. Tell me what happened. Chen Yunlin got anxious. She cared about Qi Ziyue very much. Qi Ziyue didn't have patience at this moment, but still told Chen Yunlin about the terrible wedding. Chen Yunlin felt bad after hearing the story, because it meant that Qi Ziyue couldn't take his revenge now. What should we do now? She asked again with concern. I don't know, Qi Ziyue said, feeling helpless. I need to stay here for a while before I decide what to do next. Sure, no problem, Chen Yunlin said at once. She truly loved Qi Ziyue and was more than willing to help him out. Though she might not be able to help him a lot, she would stay by his side. Even if he lost everything one day, she still wanted to live with him. In fact, given her share of her family's wealth, it was super easy for her to support Qi Ziyue. The Chen family had a little influence in the capital, but wasn't comparable to the Tang family, so her family couldn't do much when Qi Ziyue decided to take revenge. Besides, her family didn't know that she kept a secret relationship with Qi Ziyue, which was unacceptable in her parents' eyes. It was known to everyone that Qi Ziyue was Tang Yaxin's husband, so she was only a mistress. If Qi Ziyue didn't marry Tang Yaxin and he was still a deputy manager in the Tang organization, her family would approve of their relationship. Unfortunately, the reality was quite the opposite. Qi Ziyue was in serious trouble now, and it was impossible for him to marry into the Tang family. What was worse, he became the Tang family's biggest enemy, so her family wouldn't allow her to keep in touch with Qi Ziyue anymore. She took a great risk to meet Qi Ziyue, which proved that she really loved him. Dongfang Ziyu and Wu Shunhua stayed outside Gu Ning's home and company for another day, but they still failed to see her, so they left for dinner at 7 p.m. Ziyu, does Gu Ning stay home the entire time these days? Wu Shunhua asked. I'm sure that she didn't go to her company today, but I don't know whether she's still back in Century City, Dongfang Ziyu said with a frown. Actually, Gu Ning didn't go to Century City at all yesterday. They couldn't figure out where Gu Ning was right now, so it was super easy for Gu Ning to avoid them. Actually, if Gu Ning was alone, she wouldn't bother to avoid them, but she simply didn't want them to find Ling Xiaoting. In addition, today was a special day, so she didn't go to her company either. Do we need to continue to spy on her tomorrow? Wu Shunhua asked. Sure. Dongfang Ziyu nodded. She was reluctant to give up. As long as she was free, she would keep on spying on Gu Ning. Gu Ning arrived at the house that Qi Ziyue was staying in at 8:30 p.m. At this time, she was wearing all black with a baseball cap and a mask. Because she wouldn't avoid the surveillance cameras, she needed to protect herself well. There were green plants everywhere in a high-end living area, so nobody would discover Gu Ning as long as she was careful. Before long, Gu Ning reached the house, but she wasn't eager to take action. It was already dark on the first floor in the house. Qi Ziyue went to bed in the master bedroom on the second floor earlier that night under the effect of too much alcohol. Chen Yunlin sat in front of a computer in her study. She was reading the news about Qi Ziyue. Although the Tang family did everything it could to cover up the scandal, it already went viral on the internet. When Chen Yunlin saw the sex photos of Qi Ziyue having sex with other women, she recognized her face in two pictures, but there was still another woman in the photos. She was mad and felt betrayed. The woman wasn't her, nor Tang Yaxin. She understood it was unavoidable for Qi Ziyue to have sex with Tang Yaxin since they were married. However, she couldn't accept that Qi Ziyue still had a sexual relationship with other women. In fact, most people couldn't accept betrayal even though they weren't loyal to their own partners. It had nothing to do with love or loyalty, but possessiveness. Therefore, although Qi Ziyue only married Tang Yaxin to steal her family's property, he was still furious when he found out that she had other men. Human beings were a selfish creature. Anyway, Chen Yunlin was still willing to give Qi Ziyue a chance to explain it when he woke up. If it happened before they got back together, she could forgive him. They just reunited about a year ago, while Qi Ziyue had been Tang Yaxin's fiancé for years after all. In fact, she also had several ex-boyfriends before she met Qi Ziyue again, but she stopped seeing them once she and Qi Ziyue got back together. She couldn't wait to ask Qi Ziyue for the answer, but he was too drunk right now. As a result, She could only stay in the study alone, feeling sad. If Guning wanted to see Chi Ziyue, she had to deal with Chen Yunlin first. The windows of Chen Yunlin's study and the master bedroom that Chi Ziyue slept in weren't closed, because there normally weren't thieves in such a rich area. Guning got into the master bedroom through the window and gave Chi Ziyue a cold glance before she walked towards the door. The door was also open, because Chen Yunlin was afraid that Chi Ziyue might feel uncomfortable in the night. With the door open, she could hear it if he needed her help. The study was right next to the master bedroom, but Chen Yunlin had no idea that there was another person in her home now. Given Gu Ning's ability, it was impossible for Chen Yunlin to find out. When Gu Ning swaggered into the study, Chen Yunlin was scared and shocked. Who are you? She stared at Gu Ning. The next second, Gu Ning hit her shoulder, not giving her any chances to call for help. Then Chen Yunlin slowly collapsed. She was unconscious. Gu Ning lay Chen Yunlin down on the sofa, and in case she woke up all of a sudden, Gu Ning sealed her mouth. Even if she woke up later, she couldn't do anything. After that, Gu Ning went back to the master bedroom and directly poured a glass of cold water on Chi Ziyue's face to wake him up. Chi Ziyue was scared when he saw a person in all black standing by the bed. What? He was too shocked and scared to form a complete sentence. Gu Ning removed her mask at this time. It's you. Chi Ziyue was stunned when he recognized Gu Ning's face. What are you doing here? What do you want? Chi Ziyue stayed alert. It's not over yet, Gu Ning said with a smile on her lips. What? Chi Ziyue was confused. Chi Ziyue thought for a while, then asked, Does what happened at my wedding today have something to do with you? Yes, you're right, Gu Ning said. What's your relationship with Tang Aining? How much do you know about her? Chi Ziyue asked again. Will you believe me if I tell you that I'm her? Gu Ning half joked. Are you kidding me? Chi Ziyue couldn't believe it. Tang Aining was shot twice before she jumped into the ocean. It was impossible for her to survive in that situation. Besides, they found Tang Aining's body later and burned it to ashes in front of them. Moreover, Gu Ning was much younger than Tang Aining. Even if she had plastic surgery, it wouldn't be able to change her that much. Believe it or not, it's the truth. Gu Ning shrugged. Anyway, she didn't care about Chi Ziyue's feelings. Well, I was also the Tang Aining at your wedding today. Gu Ning aimed to torture Chi Ziyue over a long time, so she didn't mind wasting time talking with him. She wanted to see him being annoyed. What? Chi Ziyue was shocked. It was obvious that he didn't believe it either. Gu Ning understood that it was very hard for him to accept it, but she had no intention to explain it further. Do you think that you can do whatever you want as long as Tang Aining is dead? Gu Ning walked near. Chi Ziyue indeed had that thought because he was selfish and self-centered. Nobody would believe that Tang Aining could be reincarnated. You? Chi Ziyue was terrified now. Even though Gu Ning wasn't Tang Aining, she came here because of Tang Aining, and he was sure that she planned to hurt him. Why do you still want to take revenge? She's already dead, Chi Ziyue shouted. Hearing that, Gu Ning sneered and looked displeased. If Tang Aining was really dead, nobody would bother to take revenge for her. But fortunately her soul stayed and now lived in another girl's body. You killed her. How can you sleep well at night? Gu Ning asked with hatred. Chi Ziyue opened his mouth, but didn't know what to say now. In his eyes, he didn't think that it was a big deal because Tang Aining stood in his way to success. Gu Ning continued. I'm her only apprentice, so I should certainly take revenge for her. Chi Ziyue was struck dumb for a second, but it was more acceptable to him that Gu Ning turned out to be Tang Aining's apprentice. What do you want to do? Chi Ziyue's voice was trembling in fear. He knew that he was no match for Gu Ning and that it was useless for him to struggle against her. He didn't want to accept it, but he couldn't do anything about it. Relax, I won't kill you, but you will probably beg me to do that after being tortured by me. Gu Ning put on an evil smile. Chi Ziyue's body was also shaking in fear now. Gu Ning's face was only several centimeters away from his, and he felt helpless at this moment. He wanted to run away, but could barely move because of the effects of the alcohol. If he had to be tortured by his enemy, he would rather be killed. However, he still wanted to take revenge, so he couldn't die right now. Gu Ning didn't want to waste time talking with Qi Ziyue, so she took out a bag of something. What are you doing? What is this? Qi Ziyue was in a sheer panic. He struggled but didn't have the strength to leave the bed. After that, Gu Ning caught his jaw and forced him to face her. Qi Ziyue was frightened, but he could only see the white powder being poured into his mouth before he was forced to swallow it. It was a drug, which came from the box of drugs that Gu Ning had put away in her telepathic eye space before. She kept it in case she needed it in the future, and now she found that it was indeed useful. Qi Ziyue soon lost his reason and his mind began to be affected by the drug. He suffered hallucinations and saw Tang Bingsen standing in front of him. Tang Bingsen was his archenemy, so he shouted as he stood up, "I'll kill you! I'll kill you! It's all your fault! You killed my father. You killed my mother. You ruined my family." Gu Ning actually had sympathy for what Qi Ziyue's family had been through, but it wasn't enough to make her forgive the fact that Qi Ziyue had forced her to die. Gu Ning already achieved her aim, so there was no need for her to stay. The amount of drugs wouldn't kill Qi Ziyue right away, but he would be tortured for a long time. What was worse was that it was possible that he would hurt himself because of the hallucinations caused by the drug. Gu Ning didn't care about him at all, and only felt happier when Qi Ziyue was in a lot of pain. If Qi Ziyue died, the revenge for Tang Aining's death would be successful. Gu Ning wasn't worried that Qi Ziyue might call the police and report her for keeping drugs, because nobody would believe the account of a man who was on drugs. In addition, the Tang family was searching for Qi Ziyue right now, so he didn't dare to show up in public. Qi Ziyue had lost his reason now, and Gu Ning was afraid that he might hurt Qin Yunlin. So she went back to the study and untied Qin Yunlin. Then she locked the door of her study from the inside. Afterwards, she left from the window. Gu Ning had only spent a dozen minutes in the house, so it was still before 9 p.m. when she left. She had already told Tang Qingyang that she would arrive at Song Nan's bar before 10 p.m., so she had enough time. Gu Ning needed to deal with something important, so Tang Qingyang didn't mind. Su Qin came to Song Nan's bar by taxi, because she wanted to drink tonight. Right when she got out of the taxi, she ran into Shen Baixiang and several of his friends. Qin, what a coincidence! Shen Baixiang's eyes lit up at once. After knowing Su Qin's real family background, Shen Baixiang seized every chance to form a good relationship with Su Qin. Unfortunately, Su Qin had a very bad impression of him and lost interest in him. Shen Baixiang just came back from a business trip and planned to have a gathering with his friends, so he was surprised when he met Su Qin here. Su Qin, on the contrary, was unwilling to see him again. Nevertheless, out of good manners, she still gave him a response. "Hi." "Oh, hi, Qin, do you remember me?" A woman in Shen Baixiang's group greeted Su Qin all of a sudden, but her tone was quite unkind. "Sure, you're quite famous back in our school, so it's hard to forget you," Su Qin said. Su Qin was indeed a well-behaved girl from a super-rich family, while the woman looked mean and aggressive. Her name was Luo Shuishan, and she went to the same university as Su Qin before. Luo Shuishan sneered arrogantly. "Don't say that. I always remember you. To be honest, you're much prettier than me." Luo Shuishan complimented Su Qin insincerely. Although Luo Shuishan wasn't as pretty as Su Qin, she was very beautiful too. When they were studying in the same college, she gained a lot of fame because she was excellent at dancing. In fact, Luo Shuishan used to have the idea to join the entertainment industry. However, there were countless beautiful women in the entertainment industry, so it wasn't easy for her to become popular. Her family didn't approve of it either. Luo Shuishan's parents were working in a public institution. Even though they didn't hold important positions in the government, they stuck to traditional values and believed that it was humiliating for their daughter to be a star in the entertainment industry. Luo Shuishan didn't dare to go against her parents, so she listened to her parents and got a job in a bank. Compared with ordinary jobs, she had a good salary and treatment in a bank, so she always thought that she was better than other ordinary people. Luo Shuishan wasn't aware of Su Qinin's family background, or she would be embarrassed by her stupid superiority. In Luo Shuishan's eyes, Su Qin was simply a beautiful girl from an ordinary family. In the group that came, only Shen Baixiang and Luo Shuashan knew Su Qinyin, and only Shen Baixiang was clear about Su Qinyin's family background. In order to achieve his goal, he kept it a secret and didn't remind Luo Shuashan to behave herself. Luo Shuashan also disliked Su Qinyin because she knew that Su Qinyin used to admire Shen Baixiang too. However, Luo Shuashan didn't confess her love to Shen Baixiang because she knew that Shen Baixiang had a very high standard for his girlfriend. She was afraid that she couldn't be his friend any longer if she confessed her love to him and he rejected her. She also knew that Shen Baixiang had already rejected Su Qinyin, but she still felt displeased when she saw that he looked very happy to see Su Qinyin again. "It's hard to see you again. Why don't we have a drink together?" Shen Baixiang invited Su Qinyin. Hearing that, Luo Shuashan was annoyed once more. "No thanks. I came to meet my friends," Su Qinyin said without hesitation and deliberately kept a distance from Shen Baixiang. Su Qinyin had only confessed her love to Shen Baixiang before because she didn't know much about him at that time. Once she saw Shen Baixiang's real colors, she felt disgusted and didn't want to see him again. Shen Baixiang was annoyed when Su Qinyin turned him down because he was very proud. "Qinyin, we're friends too, right?" Shen Baixiang knew that Su Qinyin was avoiding him. Maybe it was because he had hurt her before and she hated him now, or because she disdained him now, but either way he was unwilling to give up. As long as he could marry into the Su family, he would have a bright future. "I'm sorry, I don't think that we're close at all. We've only met each other several times," Su Qinyin said after losing her patience. It was true that they seldom saw each other during these years. When they were back in the school, Su Qinyin had only met him 3 times, and she quietly admired him from afar most of the time. After their graduation, they barely saw one another. However, Shen Baixiang had the idea to coincidentally meet Su Qinyin once he found out about her real family background. Although Su Qinyin didn't have evidence to prove that Shen Baixiang approached her on purpose recently, she was very sure that he was calculating. He had rejected her before, but suddenly acted so kind towards her, which was quite abnormal. They didn't keep in touch after all. "Su Qinyin, stop acting. We all know that you confessed your love to Baixiang before. Don't you think that you're hypocritical?" Luo Shuashan was mad. Even though Luo Shuashan hated it when Shen Baixiang stood near to Su Qinyin, she disliked it when Su Qinyin embarrassed Shen Baixiang too. In Luo Shuashan's eyes, Shen Baixiang was her prince, and she wouldn't allow anyone to humiliate him. However, Su Qinyin had a totally different opinion about Shen Baixiang, and she thought that he always despised the poor and curried favor with the rich. If Shen Baixiang didn't know that her family was the Su family in the capital, he wouldn't be eager to please her. "Shuashan, don't say that." Shen Baixiang stopped Luo Shuashan right away and turned to explain it to Su Qinyin. "Qinyin, please don't mind. Shuashan didn't mean it." Luo Shuashan was furious when she saw Shen Baixiang explaining it to Su Qinyin with a smile. "Baixiang, Luo Shuashan tried to defend herself, but Shen Baixiang gave her a glance of warning. Well, Su Qinyin felt it was quite ironic. "Shuashan, I think it's necessary for me to explain it to you right now. I admit that I've confessed my affection towards Baixiang before, but it doesn't mean that I'm familiar with him. I have only met him several times till now, and I believe that many girls in our school have admired him from afar. After my graduation, I barely saw Baixiang, and gradually forgot about him. To be honest with you, we're not even friends." "You?" Luo Shuashan felt embarrassed and didn't know what to say now. Shen Baixiang was angry too, but didn't dare to vent his anger on Su Qinyin. "Baixiang, we're simply alumni at the most, so please don't tell other people that we're familiar with each other, because it may cause misunderstandings. If you don't mind, we can regard each other as strangers," Su Qinyin said. Su Qinyin understood that Luo Shuashan admired Shen Baixiang, and that she was attacking her because of him. Actually, she always wanted to find a good reason to get rid of Shen Baixiang. She was a member of the Su family anyway, and she had to take her family's reputation into consideration when she did anything. Now she got a good chance and didn't want to miss it. "Qinyin, it's not like that. Shuashan and I..." Shen Baixiang was anxious. He couldn't wait to prove that there was nothing special between Luo Shuashan and him. Unfortunately, he only made the situation more complicated. The more eager he was to try to clear his relationship with Luo Shuashan, the more misunderstandings he caused. Enough, I don't want to hear it. I'm an adult, not a kid, and I know what's happening. All right, I should go now, Su Qinin said, and was unwilling to let Shen Baixiang finish. After that, she walked into Song Nan's bar. Qinin. Shen Baixiang wanted to stop her, but was afraid that he might annoy her, so he gave up. However, he was full of anger now. He felt embarrassed because Su Qinin didn't care about his dignity. Even though Shen Baixiang still wanted to chase Su Qinin, it didn't mean that he was tolerant and would respect her. He was only hiding his true colors. Shen Baixiang was a typical male chauvinist, and he believed that his woman should listen to him no matter how powerful her family was. However, Su Qinin wasn't his woman now, so he wouldn't show his dissatisfaction on his face. Baixiang, why are you so polite to her? She's obviously rude, Luo Shuashan complained. Shut your mouth. Shen Baixiang glared at Luo Shuashan. In fact, he was eager to vent his anger on her, because he blamed Luo Shuashan for his bad relationship with Su Qinin now. However, because Shen Baixiang took Luo Shuashan as his backup, he curbed his anger. Although Luo Shuashan's family was very ordinary, her parents had positions in a public institution, and she could help him sometimes. However, if it was possible, Shen Baixiang wouldn't hesitate to marry a girl from a more powerful family. Luo Shuashan felt aggrieved when Shen Baixiang snapped at her. Su Qinin's family isn't common at all. If we can have a good relationship with her, we can get a lot of benefits. To be honest with you, it's very easy for her to make your parents lose their jobs, Shen Baixiang said. What? Luo Shuashan was shocked and didn't dare to argue with Shen Baixiang. Although Shen Baixiang didn't tell her details about Su Qinin's family, she knew that he was serious. However, she had always believed that Su Qinin's family was even less influential than hers. Actually, Su Qinin kept a low profile because she never wanted to attract a lot of attention. What's her family? Luo Shuashan asked. I can't tell you right now, but you better not have conflict with her again in the future. I don't want to offend her at all. Now let's go inside. Shen Baixiang was unwilling to talk about it anymore. They entered Song Nan's bar as well. Luo Shuashan felt very uncomfortable, because even Shen Baixiang was afraid of Su Qinin's real family background. What was worse, Shen Baixiang would choose Su Qinin instead of her since he found out about Su Qinin's real family background. Su Qinin was also prettier than her and very easygoing. She was basically Shen Baixiang's dream girl. For that reason, Luo Shuashan began to be worried. From the beginning to the end, Shen Baixiang's other friends stayed quiet. It wasn't a secret that Luo Shuashan always admired Shen Baixiang, but Shen Baixiang had a very high standard for his girlfriend. Unfortunately, it was obvious that Su Qinin disliked Shen Baixiang. It wasn't likely that they could be together one day. As Shen Baixiang's friends, they knew him better than other people, and they were aware of his arrogance and vanity. Su Qinin probably disliked Shen Baixiang because she already found out his real aim, but either way, it was Shen Baixiang's personal affair. Because it was still early, there weren't many people in the bar, so Tang Qingyang booked a table in the hall. Therefore, when Shen Baixiang walked inside with his friends, he saw Su Qinin sitting with two other men at a booth. He was mad again and had a strong feeling of a threat. From his current knowledge, Su Qinin was single, but she could get a boyfriend at any time given her outstanding appearance and family background. Therefore, he had to take action as soon as possible in case Su Qinin became another man's girl. One of Shen Baixiang's female friends suddenly exclaimed in shock, "Look, isn't that man Lord Tang?" Since she is Lord Tang's friend, her family can't be ordinary. Although Tang Qingyang had some friends who came from ordinary families, most of his friends were in the same social class as him. Shen Baixiang's other friends were surprised too. Lord Tang? Who is he? Luo Shuashan asked at once. A major shareholder of the Tang organization. He has over 1 billion yuan in wealth, the woman said. She also admired Tang Qingyang, who was a very successful young businessman, but she had a clear self-knowledge. Although it sometimes happened where a rich heir married a poor girl, it was too rare, and the poor girl was always special in some aspects. The woman had the chance to meet Tang Qingyang at a high society party with the help of her rich friend. However, it didn't mean that she could join their circle. What? Other than Shen Baixiang, the others were all astonished. He was a major shareholder of the Tang organization, which was totally out of their expectations. Luo Shuishan was struck dumb when she heard that Tang Qingyang was a major shareholder of the Tang organization. She had never been so jealous of Su Qinyin before. She wished that she were born in a super-rich family so that she could be friends with super-rich heirs. Although Luo Shuishan's family was better than ordinary people, it was barely qualified in Shen Baixiang's eyes. Luo Shuishan admired Shen Baixiang because he was very outstanding, but also because his family wasn't ordinary. If Shen Baixiang's family was very ordinary, she would probably still like him, but her love wouldn't be as strong. People were realistic. It doesn't mean that she's as rich as Lord Tang even though she knows him, Luo Shuishan said with jealousy. Shen Baixiang frowned in annoyance and said to her in a low voice, "No matter what, her family is very influential, and we're not comparable to her at all." There were many super-rich families in the capital, so he didn't know that Su Qinin's family was the dominant Su family. It was too unbelievable in his eyes. Luo Shuishan was displeased when Shen Baixiang defended Su Qinyin again, but she didn't dare to argue with him. Actually, she was simply jealous of Su Qinqin. "Oh, I just saw a shocking scandal about the Tang family today. The daughter of the chairman of the Tang organization just had a wedding with her fiancé, but a strange woman showed up with their nude pictures. Both of them cheated on each other," said one of Shen Baixiang's male friends. "I read the news too. However, although the scandal affected the Tang organization to some extent, it isn't a big deal and it has nothing to do with Lord Tang." The woman defended Tang Qingyang at once. She did that because she heard that Tang Qingyang was quite different from other rich heirs. Many rich heirs were playboys and changed their girls even more frequently than they changed their clothes. Tang Qingyang, however, was still single and didn't have a special relationship with any women. Even if some rich ladies went to seduce him, he still kept a distance from them. Some rich heirs even joked that Tang Qingyang probably didn't like women or he had a problem with his sexual potency. It was just a joke, and nobody took it seriously. "I didn't say it has anything to do with Lord Tang. I just talked about the scandal of the Tang organization." "You don't need to be annoyed," the man argued. He also knew that the scandal wouldn't have a serious impact on the Tang organization. Tang Yashin instead of Tang Qingyang was the important role in the big news after all, so Tang Qingyang wouldn't be affected. Tang Qingyang felt a little uneasy when he saw Su Qinyin coming, but he told himself to stay calm. Su Qinyin had no idea what Tang Qingyang was thinking, so she directly went to sit next to him, which made Tang Qingyang's heart beat faster. "Where is Gu Ning?" Su Qinyin asked. "Oh, she needed to deal with something, but she'll be here before 10 p.m., Tang Qingyang said. "Fine." Su Qinyin nodded. She knew that Gu Ning was always busy. "Why are you drinking? Your injury just recovered." Su Qinyin was displeased the second she saw the glass placed on the table in front of Tang Qingyang. Ever since Tang Qingyang was injured because of her, Su Qinyin had cooked for him many times. With the help of Gu Ning's power crystals, Tang Qingyang felt much better in 2 days, but Su Qinyin wasn't aware of it. She still kept cooking for him, and Tang Qingyang gradually got used to it. Su Qinyin was very good at cooking, so Tang Qingyang started to enjoy it when she came and shared a meal with him. Su Qinyin was willing to take care of Tang Qingyang as well. At the same time, Tang Qingyang noticed that he had special feelings towards Su Qinyin now. When he was alone, his mind sometimes wandered and he couldn't help thinking of Su Qinyin. Jiang Ruiqin noticed his unusual behavior and asked him whether he fell in love with Su Qinyin now. It was a difficult question for Tang Qingyang to answer, because he wasn't very sure of his feelings. He didn't know whether he simply felt touched because Su Qinyin took good care of him, or if he was really in love with her. Therefore, he wasn't able to answer that question. Besides, Tang Qingyang thought that there was a gap in the social status between him and Su Qinyin, and he also planned to take revenge in the near future. Because of that, he instinctively rejected romance. However, he couldn't stop missing Su Qinyin. Su Qinyin felt relaxed when she was hanging out with Tang Qingyang, so she enjoyed seeing him more often. She also had a good impression of Tang Qingyang, but it wasn't enough for her to fall in love with him. All in all, both of them preferred to let nature take its course. Jiang Ruiqin was aware of it too, so he didn't do anything inappropriate to set them up. I'm already fine, and I'm quite happy today, so I want to have some drinks. Tang Qingyang enjoyed having someone who cared about him. He had many friends who also cared about him, but Su Qinin was different in his eyes. Is it about the Tang family? Su Qinin asked. She read the big news about the Tang family today as well. Although Su Qinin wasn't clear about Tang Qingyang's grudges against the Tang family, she knew that he hated the Tang family and that Tang Bingsun always acted against Tang Qingyang. Su Qinin was displeased about it, so she also felt happy when the Tang family was in trouble. Yeah. Tang Qingyang nodded. Will it affect you or the Tang organization? Su Qinin asked again with concern. After all, Tang Qingyang was a major shareholder of the Tang organization. It's fine. Not a big deal, I can handle it well, Tang Qingyang said. Great. Su Qinin was relieved. Since you're in a good mood today, let's have a toast. Su Qinin raised her glass and clinked Tang Qingyang's glass. After that, they swallowed their drinks. Before Su Qinin came, Tang Qingyang had already drunk a lot, but he was willing to listen to her after she came and told him to drink less. Jiang Ruiqin was amused by the scene and hoped that they could get together as soon as possible. Shen Baixiang kept glancing at Su Qinin, which annoyed Luo Shuashan, making her lose interest in the gathering. However, she couldn't say anything about it in case Shen Baixiang was mad at her. They all drank in an upset atmosphere and felt bored. Shen Baixiang and Luo Shuashan were in a bad mood, so their friends left them behind and began to play games by themselves. At 9:30 p.m., Gu Ning came and walked to Tang Qingyang. Luo Shuashan noticed Gu Ning the second she showed up in the bar and was quite shocked. She recognized Gu Ning because she had read a lot of news about her on the internet. To be specific, she was one of Gu Ning's fans. Gu Ning had a lot of great achievements at a very young age, and she also had a bright future ahead. She also wished that she could be as successful as Gu Ning. However, it turned out that Su Qinin and Gu Ning were friends in real life, which made Luo Shuashan even more jealous of Su Qinin now. Because of Su Qinin, Luo Shuashan changed her impression of Gu Ning. She let her jealousy totally get the better of her. However, Gu Ning definitely didn't care about her opinions. Ning, did you hear about what happened to the Tang family today? Su Qinin asked Gu Ning when she sat down. Sure. Gu Ning smiled. It wasn't a secret that she and Tang Yashin were enemies. Su Qinin didn't understand Gu Ning's smile, but Tang Qingyang did, because it was just a part of Gu Ning's revenge. Tang Yashin and Qi Ziyue are gross, Su Qinin said with a frown. There are all kinds of fish in the sea, Gu Ning said and shrugged. Shortly after Gu Ning seated herself by the table, she sensed an unkind gaze on them. She gave a simple glance and figured out who it was. Although Gu Ning didn't know whether Su Qinin was aware of Shen Baixiang's presence, she had no intention to mention it in case Su Qinin became unhappy. Shen Baixiang came with his friends today after all, so it could be a coincidence. Gu Ning didn't bother to pay more attention to Shen Baixiang, and they began to enjoy drinks and games. When Su Qinin lost the game, Tang Qingyang proposed to drink for her, but Su Qinin rejected it and said that he should be more careful about his injury. Although Su Qinin turned him down, he wasn't disappointed at all. From their interaction, Gu Ning saw the chemistry between them, but seeing as neither of them wanted to make it public now, Gu Ning smiled and said nothing. A while later, Gu Ning went to the ladies' room with Su Qinin and asked her whether she saw Shen Baixiang in the bar. Su Qinin didn't know that Shen Baixiang was also in the bar, but she told Gu Ning about what had happened outside the bar. Qi Ziyue suffered the torture caused by the drugs for nearly an hour, then became quiet. Chen Yunlin also woke up about an hour later. The moment she got her consciousness back, she remembered the person in black and stood up in fear at once. Because Gu Ning already removed the ropes from Chen Yunlin's body, she was able to move freely now. She checked her surroundings and found that she was still in her study, which meant that the person's target wasn't her. If she wasn't the target, it must be Qi Ziyue. Chun Yunlin was scared and ran to the master bedroom anxiously. She was stunned once she saw the situation in the master bedroom. In the master bedroom, everything was broken and scattered around, while Chi Ziyue was lying on the ground without clear vital signs. Chun Yunlin panicked and trembled in fear. Chun Yunlin instinctively wanted to run away, but she didn't. However, she didn't dare to move closer either. After hesitating for a while, she still walked to Chi Ziyue. Her heart was pounding fast, and her body was shaking. When she moved near, she saw bruises, abrasions, and cuts all around Chi Ziyue's body. Chan Yunlin was frightened, because she didn't know whether Chi Ziyue was still alive. She did everything she could to calm herself down and reached her finger out to test his breath. Luckily, Chi Ziyue was still breathing, although his breathing was quite weak. Chun Yunlin knew that the Tang family was chasing Chi Ziyue now, but she had to send him to the hospital as soon as possible. She didn't want him to die. There were many hospitals in the capital, so she was confident that the Tang family couldn't find him so soon. Therefore, Chun Yunlin called an ambulance. About 10 minutes later, an ambulance arrived and Chan Yunlin followed Chi Ziyue to the hospital. The doctor examined Chi Ziyue, but he didn't tell Chun Yunlin the result right away. Instead, he asked for her relationship with Chi Ziyue. Chun Yunlin told the doctor that they were friends, and the doctor asked her how Chi Ziyue was seriously hurt like that. Chun Yunlin then told the doctor that a strange woman in black intruded into her home at midnight and attacked them. The doctor, however, still had doubt after hearing her explanation. It was obvious that there was a large amount of drugs in Chi Ziyue's body and Chi Ziyue hurt himself after being affected by the drug. It was possible that Chun Yunlin was hiding the truth in order to protect Chi Ziyue. If not, it was also possible that she didn't know that Chi Ziyue had taken a lot of drugs. Well, your friend took a lot of drugs, and the excessive amount of drug use caused confusion, judgment disorders, similar delusional schizophrenia, paranoia, auditory hallucinations, persecutory delusions, etc. Your friend was in a very bad situation, and the injuries around his body were likely caused by himself during the hallucinations, the doctor said. What? He's on drugs. Chun Yunlin was shocked. To her astonishment, Chi Ziyue was using drugs. I can't believe it. Are you sure? It was totally unacceptable in Chun Yunlin's eyes. Seeing Chun Yunlin's reaction, the doctor was sure that she didn't know that Chi Ziyue was on drugs. Yes, he just took a large amount of drugs. After making sure of it, Chun Yunlin still found it was hard for her to accept, because she knew how addictive and poisonous drugs were. She didn't think that Chi Ziyue took the drugs on his own, and believed that it must have been the strange woman who forced him to do it. She wanted to call the police, but gave up once she thought of the complicated situation Chi Ziyue was in. How's he now? Chun Yunlin asked. The injuries on his body aren't serious, but the large amount of drugs badly affect his organs. He's already addicted to the drugs and will suffer withdrawal after waking up. We can only cure his body, but we can't help him get rid of the drugs. It's complicated, the doctor said. Although the doctor hated drug addicts, he had to let Chi Ziyue use drugs if they wanted to treat him. Otherwise, he would easily lose his temper during the treatment. What should we do now? Chun Yunlin felt helpless. We must cure his injuries first, and we need drugs to help him stay calm during this time, said the doctor. I don't have drugs. He didn't take the drugs on his own. Someone forced him to take the drugs, Chun Yunlin said. Hearing that, the doctor nodded. It wasn't very likely for a drug addict to take such a large amount of drugs at a time. If Chi Ziyue was forced to take a lot of drugs, the person must have been trying to kill him. In that case, Chi Ziyue was quite lucky that he survived. Where is his family? The doctor asked later. He doesn't have a family, Chun Yunlin said. Well, then he can make the decision himself after waking up, the doctor said. Chun Yunlin wasn't Chi Ziyue's family, so she didn't have the right to make decisions for him. And whenever the patient had the ability to make decisions, he had to do it himself. Sure. Chun Yunlin nodded. Chun Yunlin asked for a VIP ward for Chi Ziyue and told the doctor and nurses not to tell other people where Chi Ziyue stayed. She didn't want anyone to find him. It was part of doctors' and nurses' duties to keep patients' privacy from other people, so they agreed. However, if the police came, nobody could stop them. What Chen Yunlin didn't know was that the Tang family didn't turn to the police for help this time, because Qi Ziyue still had something on the Tang family. Without the police's help, it wasn't easy for the Tang family to find Qi Ziyue within a short time. If the Tang turned to the police for help, the police could make full use of its security system and find Qi Ziyue's location using his face and identity. At 11:30 p.m., Gu Ning left with her friends. Although Su Qini knew that Shen Baixiang was also in the bar, she didn't bother to pay attention to him. In her eyes, Shen Baixiang was merely a stranger now. Gu Ning told Tang Qingyang to drive Su Qini home, because it wasn't safe for a girl to go back home alone, and she didn't have a car right now and still needed to deal with something later. Ba Tianyang stayed by Tang Qingyang, and he didn't drink, so he could drive them home. And Jiang Ruiqin was a strong man, so he could take a taxi by himself. Gu Ning didn't go back home after leaving her friends, and instead went to the hospital where Tang Yashin stayed. She had paid Qi Ziyue back, so Tang Yashin was her next target. When Su Qinin was having drinks with her friends in the bar, Shen Baixiang felt uncomfortable, but now he hated staying in the bar now that she was gone. Therefore, Shen Baixiang excused himself and left earlier than his friends. Shen Baixiang had already paid the bill before the drinks and snacks were placed on the table, so it was fine if he left now. And since Shen Baixiang didn't want to stay, his friends didn't stop him. Luo Shuishan, however, chased after Shen Baixiang. Let them go, and we can enjoy ourselves. The moment Shen Baixiang and Luo Shuishan were gone, their friends began to talk about them. I think Shen Baixiang admires Miss Su, but Miss Su doesn't like him at all. Shen Baixiang has always wanted to marry a rich girl, but he's a little shameless given his attitude towards Miss Su now. He rejected her before precisely because he thought that her family is ordinary. Shen Baixiang is very outstanding, so it's understandable that he has a high standard for his girlfriend, but he shouldn't get above himself. Miss Su is from a real super-rich family after all. Right, Miss Su isn't dumb at all. I don't think she'll accept Shen Baixiang. Alright, stop talking about them. It's none of our business. After that, they dropped the topic and started to play games. Hey Baixiang, wait for me. Where are you going? Luo Shuishan called after Shen Baixiang. I'm going home. Why are you following me? Shen Baixiang was impatient. Luo Shuishan bit her lips, but didn't dare to say anything in case Shen Baixiang was mad. Shen Baixiang saw through her and asked, Do you think that I'm going to see Su Qin? Yeah. Luo Shuishan was quite honest and nodded. Why? I'm not familiar with her, and she's so rude to me. Do you think that I'm a snobbish man? I know her family is much more powerful than mine, but it doesn't mean that I'll do everything to get her, Shen Baixiang said. He purposely said that in front of Luo Shuishan to hide his real intentions. However, it was quite stupid because everyone was aware of his real aim. He didn't want other people to think of him as a man who had too much pride in himself, and he also wanted to climb up the social ladder as possible as he could. Luo Shuishan was his B-plan, so he didn't want to damage his image in her eyes. Luo Shuishan, however, believed every word he said to her. Actually, Luo Shuishan wasn't an idiot, but she still chose to believe the man she loved. Baixiang, can I drive you home? Luo Shuishan asked later. No need. I'm a man, and I can go home on my own. If you don't want to have fun with them tonight, you should go back home too. It's not safe for you to stay outside too late, Shen Baixiang said. After that, he ignored Luo Shuishan and got in a taxi. He drank a little tonight, so he couldn't drive now. Luo Shuishan was disappointed when Shen Baixiang left her behind, but she soon persuaded herself to accept it. They weren't a couple anyway, so it wasn't Shen Baixiang's duty to take care of her. Therefore, Luo Shuishan went back home too, because Shen Baixiang had already left and she felt bored without him. When Gu Ning showed up at the hospital, she was in a nurse uniform with a medical mask so that no one could recognize her. Once Gu Ning arrived, she directly walked towards Tang Yashin's ward, which was on the 7th floor. It was already past 12 a.m., so there were only a few people walking around in the hospital. However, an accident happened on Gu Ning's way towards the 7th floor. When Gu Ning walked in the passage of the 7th floor, The door of a VIP ward was suddenly pushed open, and an old woman in a patient's suit ran outside in a panic. Although the woman was very old, she still ran without caring about anything around her and almost hit Guning. Guning stopped and looked at her, and the old woman immediately begged Guning for help. "Help me, please. Someone wants to kill me." The old woman looked into the ward with fright, which implied that the person who wanted to kill her was in it. Hearing that, Guning frowned and wasn't sure whether it was true or not. The next second, a younger woman about 30 years old ran outside in panic as well. The old woman hid herself behind Guning the moment she saw the younger woman and looked frightened. Although Guning didn't understand what was happening, she felt that she should protect the old woman at this moment. In addition, she could feel that the old woman's fear was real. A guilty look flashed in the younger woman's eyes, but Guning still caught it. "Miss, I'm sorry. My mother is mentally ill. She doesn't know what she's doing now," she explained to Guning and took her as a nurse in this hospital. Saying that, she went to pull the old woman. "Mom, no one wants to kill you." No, stay away from me." The old woman clenched Guning's arm without delay and refused to go back to the ward with the younger woman. Guning had to stop the younger woman. "Since your mother is mentally ill, I can have a look." She sensed that something was abnormal between the old woman and the younger woman. "It's fine. My mother will be fine after resting for a while in the ward," the younger woman said. She was unwilling to let Guning be involved in it. If Guning was involved, she was afraid that the old woman would say something that she shouldn't say. "I'm a nurse, and it's part of my job to take care of the patients. We can go to the ward together," Guning said. She was sure that the younger woman wasn't a good person. The younger woman couldn't reject it now, because it would raise suspicion. What she didn't know was that Guning wasn't a nurse at all. "Fine." The younger woman agreed in the end. She had bad luck today. "Let's go inside together now," Guning gently said to the old woman. No. The old woman quickly shook her head. If Guning left later, she would still be in danger. "Relax. I'll stay by your side," Guning said to comfort her. The old woman was struck dumb for a second, then chose to believe Guning. Afterwards, the three of them walked into the ward and the younger woman closed the door at once. However, the moment the younger woman did that, Guning hit the back of her neck, knocking her unconscious. "What?" The old woman was scared by Guning's sudden movement. At the same time, she felt relieved when the younger woman passed out. "Ma'am, I believe you, so I just knocked her unconscious. Can you trust me too?" Guning asked the old woman in a serious tone. Sure. The old woman nodded. After that, Guning moved the younger woman to the other bed in the ward, then walked back to the old woman. "Ma'am, what happened?" The old woman was more trustworthy in Guning's eyes, so she wanted to hear the truth from her mouth. However, if this old woman had done something unacceptable before, Guning wouldn't help her. The younger woman called this old woman her mother, so the younger woman could be this old woman's daughter or daughter-in-law. They were close family members, so something terrible must have happened. The old woman burst into tears all of a sudden. "She's my daughter, but my adopted daughter. Her name is Xiang Ili. She is the biological daughter of one of my distant relatives. Her parents passed away in a car accident when she was 10, and she had nowhere to go. My family was richer and I didn't have any children, so I adopted her and raised her up as my own kid. About 10 years ago, my husband died of cancer, and I had to manage my family's business alone. My brother-in-law's family helps me sometimes, but I'm suffering from kidney failure now, and I need to step down from my position. I plan to give my brother-in-law my shares and let him take over my family business, while my adopted daughter can have 10% shares. My adopted daughter, however, is unwilling to accept it. She believes that she should take over my family's business. She wants to murder me before I settle the will, but she doesn't know that my will is already settled, and she won't get the wealth that doesn't belong to her even if I'm dead. During these years, my brother-in-law's family has never hesitated to help me. They're diligent and kind, and never asked for anything they don't deserve. My adopted daughter, however, isn't grateful at all. She behaved like a good girl in front of us before she got married, but we were astonished and mad that she got pregnant before marrying. We couldn't accept it. Actually, if her husband is a good man with potential, we would wish them all the best. However, her husband is merely a gangster and she has had several abortions because of him. If she has another abortion, she could become infertile. We were left no choice but to hold a wedding for them. I gave them a house and a car along with 500,000 yuan, and I hoped that they could live a happy life afterwards. They listened to me at the beginning, but soon they became lazy and rude. They always asked me for money and more money. They're too greedy and even wanted to steal my property by murdering me. Hearing that, Gu Ning was surprised and angry. The old woman looked very sad and Gu Ning trusted her. After that, the old woman began to cry again, but she suddenly coughed and seemed to be short of breath. Gu Ning was afraid that she might be in great pain, so she stood up and poured a glass of water for her. Gu Ning also secretly put a power crystal inside before she handed the glass to the old woman. "Ma'am, have some water." "Thanks." The old woman drank the water Gu Ning gave her. After drinking the water with magical power, the old woman quickly felt much better. "Why don't you call your brother-in-law right now? I don't think your adopted daughter is trustworthy," Gu Ning said. "She hid my phone away, and I can't find it. Maybe it's on her," the old woman said and tried to leave the bed to search for it, but she was stopped by Gu Ning. "I'll do it." Gu Ning then went to search Xiang Ili's body and found 2 phones. "Ma'am, which one is yours?" "The black one," the old woman said. Gu Ning gave the black phone to the old woman, and the old woman called her brother-in-law at once. At this time, the old woman's brother-in-law was already asleep, but luckily his phone was turned on at all times. "What's wrong?" he asked with concern. It couldn't be good news if his sister-in-law called him at midnight. "Dailong, come to the hospital with your wife right now. I have something important to talk to you about," the old woman said. Xiang Dailong was worried. "What happened?" "You'll know later," the old woman said. "Fine, we're on our way," Xiang Dailong said and hung up the call. Before the old woman's brother-in-law came, Gu Ning couldn't leave, so she patiently stayed in the ward. Anyway, she had enough time to deal with Tang Yashin. About 10 minutes later, Xiang Dailong and his wife arrived. Their home wasn't far from the hospital, and there was little traffic on the road that late at night, so they arrived very fast. Xiang Dailong was in his late 30s and was still very young, while his wife was only 35 this year. They thought that the old woman was in great danger, so they came in a hurry, but they felt relieved once they saw that she was fine. "What happened? Since it's your family affair, I think I should leave now," Gu Ning said with a smile and excused herself. "Thank you so much, miss." The old woman thanked Gu Ning again. From the beginning to the end, the old woman believed that Gu Ning was only a nurse working in the hospital. "You're welcome," Gu Ning said and left. She didn't go to Tang Yashin's ward, but directly walked out of the building. If she entered Tang Yashin's ward right after she left the old woman's ward, the old woman might get involved in trouble because of her. She didn't want the old woman to be punished because of what she would do to Tang Yashin. Although the old woman interrupted her plan tonight, she didn't blame her. Instead, she felt satisfied that she had helped another innocent person out. Xiang Dailong frowned in annoyance when he saw Xiang Ili lying on another bed with her eyes closed. "What's Ili doing here? Shouldn't she take care of you?" Xiang Dailong asked. He also had a bad impression of Xiang Ili after knowing about her bad deeds. However, she was a member of their family, so he couldn't do anything about it. "She was knocked unconscious by the young nurse just now," the old woman said, then told them everything. Xiang Dailong and his wife were furious after knowing what had happened. In fact, they never had the idea to steal their sister-in-law's property. It was their family's business after all, so they were unwilling to let Xiang Ili take over. Most importantly, Xiang Ili wasn't skilled at running a business, and she would ruin their family business within a short time. Therefore, no matter what, they had to stop her from taking over their family business. Besides, given what Xiang Ili had done to the old woman, their mother and daughter relationship came to an end, so the old woman decided to take back the 10% shares which used to belong to Xiang Ili. When Gu Ning showed up in the hospital again, she was in all black once more. It wasn't a very special look, so she didn't attract much attention from other people. Many people wore masks, especially medical masks in a hospital, and everyone was busy dealing with his or her own things. No accidents happened this time, and Gu Ning successfully reached Tang Yashin's ward. She used her jade eyes to see inside of the ward before she entered, so she saw that Ji Yijing was staying with Tang Yashin in the room. At this time, both of them were fast asleep. Tang Yashin woke up shortly after she was admitted to the hospital, but unfortunately she was diagnosed with a sexually transmitted disease. STDs spread through sexual intercourse and mainly affected the genitals. So because Tang Yashin had a sexual relationship with different men, it wasn't strange that she was infected. STDs were infectious, but Qi Ziyue wasn't infected, so Tang Yashin might have just gotten infected a short while ago. Kei hadn't investigated it, so Gu Ning wasn't aware of it. The door of the ward wasn't locked, which was for the doctor's convenience. Therefore, Gu Ning pushed the door open and walked inside without waking up Tang Yashin and Ji Yijing. She walked to Ji Yijing first and hit the back of her neck so that Ji Yijing would fall unconscious right away. Gu Ning's target was Tang Yashin tonight, so she had to make sure that Ji Yijing wouldn't make any noises. After that, Gu Ning walked towards Tang Yashin, who was lying on the hospital bed. It was super easy for Gu Ning to kill her right now, but Gu Ning had no intention to do that. If she wanted to kill them, she could have done that a long time ago when she saw them for the first time. She wanted to torture Tang Yashin. Gu Ning woke Tang Yashin up the next second. Tang Yashin was displeased when someone ruined her sweet dreams. She opened her eyes and wanted to vent her anger on the person who dared to do that to her. However, she was scared the second she saw Gu Ning's face, and Gu Ning pinched her neck at once so that she couldn't make a sound. Tang Yashin raised her hands to move Gu Ning's hands away, but Gu Ning released her cold magical power. When the cold magical power affected Tang Yashin stiffened and couldn't move at all. "You better stay quiet, or I'll break your neck," Gu Ning said in a low voice. Tang Yashin turned to look at her mother, but Ji Yijing was still lying on the other bed silently. "She can't help you, because she's unconscious now," Gu Ning said with a satisfied smile. Knowing that, Tang Yashin felt helpless. Who are you? What do you want to do?" Tang Yashin struggled to say a complete sentence. "Take revenge, of course," Gu Ning sneered. "You?" Tang Yashin was scared and thought of Tang Aining. "Are you the woman who ruined my wedding?" Tang Yashin asked. "Right, but to be specific, I am Tang Aining," Gu Ning said. She didn't bother to hide her real identity now. No. Tang Yashin was frightened and refused to believe it. Tang Aining was already dead, and she didn't think that Tang Aining could come alive again. "Well, I can explain it to you." Gu Ning smiled again. She didn't care whether Tang Yashin was willing to hear it or not and continued. "On 6th August last year, Qi Ziyue invited me to have fun on the ocean, which was part of your scheme." Hearing that, Tang Yashin trembled in fear. Gu Ning was very satisfied with her reaction and said, "I was shot in the right shoulder and left thigh, and I still remember our conversation at that time. I asked Qi Ziyue why he did that to me, but you told me that Qi Ziyue never loved me. I was simply a pawn in his eyes, right?" Tang Yashin almost had a breakdown because she still remembered it very clearly. However, she still couldn't believe that Gu Ning was Tang Aining. Tang Aining was dead, and that was the only truth that she could accept. "You also told me that our father understood that he would lose control of me once my mother died. So he arranged for a man to chase me and made me fall in love with the man. I did everything I could for our father, but you still stole my man away from me." Tang Yashin stared straight at Gu Ning in great shock. "Tang Yashin, what a surprise!" Gu Ning smiled at her. "No, it's impossible." Tang Yashin almost cried in despair. "You still don't believe it? Well, do you remember what you did to me on the first day you and your mother, who's a mistress, entered my home? You treated me as a maid and caused mischief between me and Tang Bingsen," Gu Ning said. She remembered everything clearly, and didn't have the courage to forget the terrible things she had been through. "You never stopped humiliating me when we lived under the same roof. You looked kind on the surface, but actually you were the evilest girl I've ever seen. Stop it! Stop it now!" Tang Yashin cried. People who didn't know her might have sympathy for her, but Gu Ning didn't buy it. Her tears were cheap, and she was as evil as always. Gu Ning had no sympathy for her enemy. Stop it? Why? Tang Yashin, you should admit to your crimes, Gu Ning said. Everyone will pay for what he or she has done before, right? No. Tang Yashin shook her head. I know I'm not a good person either, because I've done a lot of bad things for Tang Bingsen. If I'm punished one day, I'm willing to accept it, Gu Ning said. She had no choice in her previous incarnation, but she had choices in this incarnation and she chose to be a good person. No, please. Tang Yashin began to beg Gu Ning for forgiveness, although it was useless. She was no match for Gu Ning, and it was impossible for her to escape now. It was very easy for Gu Ning to kill her at this moment. But Gu Ning didn't do that. Tang Yashin was reluctant to die, because she was so young. Relax, I won't kill you. I'll only torture you. Not only you, but Qi Ziyue, Tang Bingsen, Ji Yijing, and whoever has caused me pain before will also be tortured by me, Gu Ning said. You can't run away. None of you can get away with what you've done to me. Gu Ning's cold voice echoed in Tang Yashin's ears. Tang Yashin was terrified and her body shook harder. In the following seconds, her body began to become cold and stiff under the effect of Gu Ning's magical power. Although Gu Ning had no intention to directly ruin her body, she could easily damage her body. Tang Yashin felt more and more uncomfortable, and she was also in a terrible mental condition now. After a while, Gu Ning stopped. Hang on there, Tang Yashin. It's not over yet, and I'll come back to you, Gu Ning said and left. Once Gu Ning let her go, Tang Yashin wanted to shout, but didn't dare to do that in case Gu Ning came back and killed her. She was completely under the control of the fear that Gu Ning caused her. Tang Yashin didn't dare to ring the bell calling for a nurse until Gu Ning was gone for a long time. Ji Yijing was still unconscious, and both of them needed help right away. Hearing the bell, a nurse ran over in a hurry. Although the nurse disliked Tang Yashin after knowing about her sex scandal and STD, it was her job, so she had to take care of her. She was only a nurse, and didn't dare to act against the powerful Tang family. Because it was a VIP ward, there was a living room at the front. The nurse turned on the lights once she walked inside, then stepped to the inner room. Miss Tang, what happened? The nurse was scared when she saw Tang Yashin trembling on the bed. Stay away from me, Tang Yashin screamed. Her mental state was abnormal now, and couldn't distinguish the nurse from Tang Aining. All right, I won't go over. You can calm down first. The nurse stopped at once. Then she noticed that Ji Yijing was still sleeping on another bed. She felt that it was quite strange and frowned with confusion. Thinking of Tang Yashin's current condition, the nurse sensed that something wrong must have happened, so she ran to test Ji Yijing's breath. Luckily, Ji Yijing was still breathing, so the nurse was relieved. Mrs. Tang? The nurse shook Ji Yijing's body, but she wouldn't wake up. Mrs. Tang? Mrs. Tang. The nurse got nervous. Without delay, she stood up and went to the doctor who was on duty tonight. The doctor and his assistant came back with the nurse later. The male doctor was Tang Yashin's attending physician, and the female doctor was his assistant. On their way to the ward, the nurse briefly introduced Tang Yashin's and Ji Yijing's conditions to him, but he was also confused. It was obvious that Tang Yashin was mentally shocked, but they didn't know why it suddenly happened. Ji Yijing was unconscious now, so no one could tell them the real reason. When someone entered the ward again, Tang Yashin shouted, "Leave me alone! Don't kill me!" The male doctor was surprised when Tang Yashin shouted that at him. He wondered if she might have had a terrible nightmare, or was someone really going to kill her. The male doctor found it quite strange. Miss Tang, calm down. We're here to help you. Can you tell us what happened in this room? The male doctor remained patient. Tang Aining, it's Tang Aining. She wants to take revenge. Tang Yashin shouted again. Although her mind was in chaos right now, she was still able to answer questions. Hearing that, the male doctor nodded, because he was aware of what had happened at Tang Yashin's wedding. However, he didn't think that Tang Aining was a bad person. If the news about her on the internet was real, then she had been through a lot and was pitiful. Tang Yashin, on the contrary, was quite hateful. Nevertheless, Tang Yashin was his patient now, so he had to focus on his job as a doctor. Has she been here? The male doctor asked. Yes, and she said that she would torture me, Tang Yashin said in fear. Dr. Zhang, can you go check Mrs. Tang's body? The male doctor asked the female doctor. Sure. Dr. Zhang agreed and walked to Ji Yijing. After checking on Ji Yijing, she said, she is indeed passed out. It's probably because of a sudden scare. Hearing that, the male doctor frowned. No, it's Tang Aining. Tang Aining knocked my mother unconscious, Tang Yashin said at once. Dr. Zhang, you can stay here to comfort Miss Tang, and I'll go to the monitoring room, the male doctor said. No problem. Dr. Zhang agreed, so the male doctor left for the monitoring room. The male doctor watched the surveillance footage for the cameras in the passage first, and he saw a woman dressed in all black pass by just a few minutes ago. About 3 minutes later, a nurse ran towards Tang Yashin's ward. If the woman in all black didn't walk fast, she must still be in the hospital right now. The male doctor thought for a while, but didn't call the police. Instead, he called Tang Bingsun. Tang Yashin was in a bad mental condition, while Ji Yijing was still unconscious, so he could only talk about it with Tang Bingsun. Tang Bingsun was displeased when someone interrupted his sleep at midnight, but he calmed down the second he saw the caller's name. The first thought in his mind was that Tang Yashin could be in trouble, so he picked it up right away. Although he was mad at Tang Yashin because of what had happened at her wedding, she was his daughter after all. After that, the male doctor told Tang Bingsun about what had just happened. Tang Bingsun was furious and blamed the male doctor for not taking good care of Tang Yashin and Ji Yijing. The male doctor knew that it was his fault, so he kept apologizing to Tang Bingsun. Even though Tang Bingsun was full of anger, he still didn't want to call the police. The male doctor also told him that this was the first call he made. So Tang Bingsun told him not to call the police or tell anyone else. He decided to deal with it himself. Before long, Tang Bingsun arrived at the hospital along with 2 top bodyguards. They were much stronger than the bodyguards at Tang Yashin's wedding, because they were mercenaries who were comparable to professional killers. Tang Bingsun was afraid that Tang Aining would attack him again, so he hired 2 mercenaries to protect him. To his astonishment, Tang Aining went to hurt Tang Yashin. He thought that the hospital would be safe, but it turned out that he was wrong. Tang Bingsun went to see Tang Yashin and Ji Yijing right after he reached the hospital. Ji Yijing woke up before Tang Bingsun walked into the ward, and she felt terrified after hearing what had happened when she was unconscious. Tang Aining was a formidable enemy, making it impossible for them to stay calm at this moment. Ji Yijing comforted Tang Yashin for a long while before she finally relaxed a little. Tang Yashin told Tang Bingsun what Tang Aining had done to her, but her voice still trembled in fear when she mentioned the name. Although Tang Bingsun still didn't believe that the woman was Tang Aining, he found that there was no other explanation. After all, only Tang Aining knew all of his dirty secrets. If the woman was really Tang Aining, he was very anxious that she might have evidence of his crimes in her hands. Tang Bingsun had already hired professional killers to chase and kill Tang Aining, but he hadn't heard any good news yet. He hoped that he could hear the news that the task was fulfilled as soon as possible so that he could sleep at night. Tang Bingsun didn't stay in the hospital for a long time, because there was nothing he could do. He told one of his mercenaries to stay and protect his wife and daughter. He would arrange for 2 bodyguards to come over later. At this time, Gu Ning was back in her home. She went back to Century City, and it was already 2:30 p.m. when she finally went to bed. Before she slept, she took out a pair of earphones and put them into her ears. She left a bug under Tang Yashin's bed when she was talking with her in the hospital, so she was able to secretly listen to Tang Yashin's conversation with other people. The bug could also record the conversations, so Gu Ning was listening to the recording. Afterwards, she learned that Tang Bingsun arranged a mercenary and 2 bodyguards to protect Tang Yashin. Given Gu Ning's ability, a mercenary was no match for her. In addition, Gu Ning already told Tang Yashin that she would see her again, which meant she wasn't worried about what Tang Yashin would do. If she was able to hurt Tang Yashin when there were skilled men protecting her, Tang Yashin would be even more shocked and scared. That night, Tang Bingsun, Tang Yashin, and Ji Yijing didn't sleep at all, because they felt that they were in great danger. Although they had strong bodyguards by their sides, They didn't have confidence that they could protect them well. Besides, Tang Bingsen was still worried that Tang Aining could have something important on him, which could ruin his life. Gu Ning, on the other hand, had a good sleep and still got up early the next morning, then went outside to run. Once she left her home, she felt that someone was staring at her, and it seemed to be a cultivator. Gu Ning thought of Bailey Zongyang or Bailey Zongxue at first, but she didn't care much about it and kept on running. When Gu Ning was running, she felt that the cultivator was following her along the way at a distance. In ordinary people's eyes, it was very normal because there were plenty of people running at this time. However, Gu Ning knew that it wasn't normal and stayed alert. After running for 10 minutes, Gu Ning stopped where exercise equipment was placed. She deliberately bent her body and glanced at the cultivator behind her. With a simple glance, she saw Wu Shunhua, who was only 20 meters away from her. Seeing Wu Shunhua, Gu Ning wasn't surprised at all. Wu Shunhua stopped once Gu Ning stopped, but he didn't know that Gu Ning already noticed him. Gu Ning had no interest in paying more attention to him after knowing who he was, so she exercised for a few minutes, then kept on running. Wu Shunhua continued to follow her, but Gu Ning didn't bother to give him a glance. After half an hour, Gu Ning went back home. Gao Yi and Xiao Ye seldom ran in the morning, because Xiao Ye needed to prepare breakfast for Gu Ning, so she basically practiced her fighting skills with Gao Yi in the yard every morning. It was also a good way to improve their strength. When Gu Ning didn't go out for a run sometimes, she would do it too. Undoubtedly, Gu Ning won every time. Although it was just training, they had to use their skills to the best of their ability in order to improve. Gu Ning's skills might not improve when her competitors were Gao Yi and Xiao Ye, but Gao Yi and Xiao Ye learned a lot from her. Actually, not many people could defeat Gu Ning now. Gao Yi and Xiao Ye weren't annoyed at all when they were defeated by Gu Ning. Instead, they felt quite happy that they were making improvement. Therefore, they enjoyed it when Gu Ning fought against them. They normally got up at 6 a.m. and would arrive at the company before 9 a.m. There was a rush hour in the morning, so it took a long time on their way to work. When Gu Ning got home, Wu Shunhua called Dongfang Ziyu at once and told her that he finally found Gu Ning. Dongfang Ziyu told Wu Shunhua to keep on spying on Gu Ning. Qi Ziyue woke up at 7 a.m. that morning, but he suddenly couldn't remember what he had been through. He tried to sit up, but was out of strength and his body was so painful. Qi Ziyue was confused and looked around for the answer. When he saw the medical equipment in the room, he was scared. Why was he in a hospital now? Yunlin. He called Chun Yunlin, who was by his bed. Qi Ziyue's voice was very weak, but luckily Chun Yunlin still heard it. Chun Yunlin opened her eyes and got excited. Ziyue, you're awake. What happened? Why am I in a hospital now? Qi Ziyue frowned in annoyance. She should know that he was in a very dangerous situation now, and Tang Bingsen could find him at any moment. A strange woman intruded into my house last night. She knocked me unconscious. By the time I woke up, the room you slept in was in complete chaos. You were seriously injured and lying on the ground, so I had to call an ambulance, Chun Yunlin said. Hearing Chun Yunlin's explanation, Qi Ziyue remembered what he had been through last night, and his eyes were full of fear. How's my body now? Am I all right? Qi Ziyue asked anxiously. Chun Yunlin opened her mouth, but didn't know what to say and where to start. Seeing that, Qi Ziyue had a premonition. Tell me, what's wrong with my body? Qi Ziyue asked in anger. Chan Yunlin understood that Qi Ziyue would know sooner or later, so she said, she poured a large amount of drugs into your body. What? Qi Ziyue was struck dumb. And? Qi Ziyue asked. The injuries on your body weren't caused by the woman, it was caused by the hallucinations caused by the drug. The doctor said that you're already addicted to drugs now, and it's not appropriate for you to get rid of it right away, because your injuries must be cured first, Chen Yunlin said with worry. She hated drug addicts, but Qi Ziyue was innocent and was forced to take drugs. In that case, she didn't hate him at all and had sympathy for him. Qi Ziyue remained silent and pressed his lips. He knew how hard and painful it was to get rid of drug addictions. One of his friends was addicted to drugs before and tried to get rid of it later. Although his friend succeeded in the end, His friend honestly told him that it was a great torture and he never wanted to suffer it again. Every time he suffered withdrawal, he would rather die right away. Only people who weren't deeply addicted to drugs and had strong determination could successfully get rid of drug addictions. Therefore, drugs were really harmful. Chi Ziyue's addiction to drugs wasn't very serious, and he could recover. However, it would still be very hard. Chi Ziyue was very rich and he could afford drugs for many years, but his body undoubtedly would be ruined. Ziyue, what do you plan to do? Chen Yunlin asked. Get the doctor here. I need to talk with him, Chi Ziyue said. Sure. Chen Yunlin nodded and went to call the doctor. After a short while, the doctor came with Chen Yunlin. The doctor thought that it was safer for Chi Ziyue to cure his injuries before he got rid of drugs, but it was illegal to take drugs, so it was still up to Chi Ziyue. He could hide the secret for now, but he wouldn't take responsibility if it was exposed. As a result, Chi Ziyue chose to cure his injuries first. However, he had to figure out a way to get drugs. Gu Ning finished eating breakfast, then went to her company while Wu Shunhua secretly followed her. He followed her all the way to her destination. Wu Shunhua stopped his car outside the Shengning organization. Then Dongfang Ziyu got in and sat next to him. That car is Gu Ning's, Wu Shunhua said. It was very normal for Gu Ning, who was the founder of a large business group, to own several cars. I sneaked into their factory last night, and I found that there is magical power in every one of their medicines. But I just couldn't find the source of the magical power, Dongfang Ziyu said with a frown. She felt disappointed when she failed to find the source. Actually, Gu Ning had already told Ning Changkai to hide the power crystals well, so Dongfang Ziyu couldn't find them. Dongfang Ziyu didn't have Gu Ning's jade eyes, so it was difficult for her to find them within a short time. In addition, power crystals were stored in porcelain bottles, which could stop the magical power from spreading out. What should we do now? Wu Shunhua asked. They had been following Gu Ning for days, but found nothing useful. After a second, Wu Shunhua added, the Kung Fu competition will be held in half a year, and the Patriarch said that you must win the championship to get the magical pill. The Kung Fu competition was held by Tiandamen every 3 years in the Cultivation world, and the champion could get a magical pill, which was something that every cultivator wanted.